жито, в обходах вистраждано все. Я знаю, інші гордовито прапороносець понесе. Дивлюсь на нього я востаннє у нез'ясованій журбі. Всю кров мою зі скитання воно вібрало у собі. Всю кров мою зі скитання воно вібрало у собі.
Прийшли окупанти до нас в Україну, форма новенька, воєнні машини та трохи поплавився їх інвентар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Російські танкісти сховались в кущі, щоб лаптем посьорбати довбані щі, та трохи у чах перегрівся навар. Байрактар, приперли зі сходу до нас барани для восстановлення
великой страны.
Найкращий пастух баранячих отар. Байрактар. Байрактар. Їх доводи всяке озброєння, різне, потужні ракети, машини залізні, у нас на всі доводи є коментар. Байрактар. Байрактар. Вони захопити хотіли нас зразу, а ми зачаїли на орків образу з російських бандитів. Робить примар. Байрактар. Байрактар. Російська поліція справи заводить, там вбивцю рашистів ніяк не знаходить. Хто винен, що в нашому полі глухар? Байрактар. Байрактар. Веде пропаганду кремлівський урод, слова пропаганди ковтає народ. Тепер нове слово знає цар.
Байрактар.
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 Yes.
The Leaf Spring Army sends its regards.
everyone, I'm the Enforcer, and I'm accompanied by Enforcer Matt.
And good evening, folks. It's Enforcer Matt. Welcome back to day 295 of the news, and it's good to see you all once again.
And of course, we're going to be reporting on the past 24 hours of the last day of this week of the war. Tomorrow, we'll have a brand new map, the slate will be cleaned, and we'll be looking at a whole other week of the war in Ukraine. And so not only are we covering the past 24 hours of the war, we're covering the last day of this week. And that's kind of crazy to think that 295 days ago, at this very time, literally at this hour, the first missile landed in Kyiv. That is what this actually signifies with us wrapping up this week and going into the next one, is that this was the exact time of the week that the war began so long ago. But anyways, let's get on into the news, because I've done something that we've never done before on the request of a viewer last night who sent in the question of could we see some of the rougher and tougher things in the Ukraine war, somehow, like either I make a second channel and put those videos there, or something like that. And I directed them to the NSFW tab of our Discord channel, which is in the link in the description below. But tonight I've decided that as a once-off occasion, considering that we are talking about the meat grinder that Bakhmut is, I would actually include two clips that are fairly graphic into tonight's stream. We're not going to be showing them on air, but they are here. You can actually see both of them. They have skull and crossbones on them, and one of them actually shows the aftermath of the Georgian Legion's encounter today with the Wagner unit. That's also why we put Wagner ahead again in the title. If you click on that link and watch it, you'll actually be able to see the aftermath of that. And we also included a more unfortunate sight, and we'll be talking about this a little bit more in depth today, about a Ukrainian squad pushing forward through the open. They got hit by mortar fire, and one of theirs unfortunately got taken out. I decided to include both of those clips today because I'm always telling y'all a lot about how many of these battles are incredibly tough for the Russians and they're taking massive amounts of casualties, and I'm never able to show that on stream. And also, I always talk about how tough it is sometimes for Ukrainian units to hold up on the front and show and explain what kind of difficulty, and I guess you could say sacrifice, these soldiers are having to go through, and they still have high spirits, and yet I'm never able to show that either on stream. And so those two videos are here. If you would like to see them, and real quick, I'll also try and pop this up for y'all so that way y'all can see it. And let me go to my YouTube real quick. So, if you're just randomly around, and let me go over here, let me mute that. And so here's my stream, just to explain how y'all will find it. Scroll down here. Oh, look, 2,900 people watching. Click show more. And right here you have all the links. You have the link to our merch store, you have the link to United 24, our Discord server, which you can join by clicking on that link. And I think all you'll have to do is, if you've never joined Discord before, all you have to do is make an account. And then the last one right here is the day 295 map. If you click that one, all you have to do is left click it, the map pops up, and you can go and look at every single bit of news I have on stream, just like you were me running the stream. So in case you ever wondered how you could do that, that is how. So make sure to check it out if you were ever interested in what the war really looks like in some cases that we cannot show on stream. Both of those are pretty good examples of what's actually going on there that, due to YouTube being YouTube, we can't really show. But moving on from that, we're going to be talking about Bakhmut today, and those videos are probably the best way, while I can't show them on stream, to explain what's been going on in this area. Bakhmut is a meat grinder, and this is something that I haven't really mentioned a lot before, because we're always talking about the perspective of can the Ukrainians hold, but I'm never really explaining how much does it really cost for the Ukrainians to hold Bakhmut. Because while I always talk about the Ukrainians control the dominating heights around the city, we also have to remember that the Russians control halfway two of the heights around Bakhmut as well. They control the hill to the southeast, and they also control the hill to the northeast. And much like the Ukrainians are able to fire from the ridgelines to the west, down onto the Russians and also into the town directly, the Russians are also able to do the same. And while the Ukrainians have been inflicting massive casualties on the Russians in this area, and today we saw a massive increase, we'll be going over the casualty report a little bit later, the Ukrainians, from what we can tell, have also been taking much higher casualties than normal in this area as well. And Bakhmut is truly panning out to be probably one of the bloodiest battles of this entire war for both sides. It may even be worse than the Battle of Mariupol, or maybe even worse than the battles of Severodonetsk and Lysychansk. And I hate, and it really pains me to say that, but one thing you can get from that image is that the Ukrainians are bent determined to not give up. This is, as far as I can tell, the toughest battle they've ever fought. I have never seen anything closer to to this than anything. This is World War One. Through multiple videos, you can see the carnage that they're having to fight in, the absolute destruction, the kind of squalor that a lot of these soldiers on both sides are living through, and yet the Ukrainian soldiers still having a much tougher time holding this town than normal and still inflicting a massive amount of casualties on the Russians, are still holding the line. They still have high spirits, and they're going through terrible things down there. It's the worst battle I've ever seen, to be honest with y'all. And I've got to give a huge load of credit to the Ukrainian soldiers who are fighting this battle, and I would hope that y'all also give a huge credit to them as well. They are taking a beating down there. They're giving even 3 times the beating to the Russians, and they're still holding the town. They're still not falling back. And so with that, let's go over real quick, before we actually get to the location unknown clips, let's get to what we've been seeing so far in the town. I'm going to switch it over to the topographical map and go over the past 24 hours with y'all. So here's the 13th, and here's today. Once again, no movement whatsoever. Impressive, once again, to think. The Russians are throwing almost everything they have at this point into the Bakhmut front, and we're not seeing a single inch of ground being given up. The Ukrainians are holding house for house, town for town, field for field in most areas, and they are flooring the Russians. Truly flooring them. 764 Russians estimated were killed today, and a large amount of those were killed in the area around Bakhmut. And it's unbelievable. They are still holding the line against an unbelievable human wave. It's wave after wave each and every day, and these Ukrainian soldiers are still holding on to this town. It is unbelievable. They're holding on to the chicken tender. They're holding on to all the ridges to the west of the town. They've stopped the Russians completely in front of Klishkivka and the ridges that go all the way down to Kurtamivka near the canal. It is unbelievable to see. It's truly a feat, and something that we give the Ukrainians a little praise for at this point in the war. We've seen the Ukrainians do so well that we expect them to do this as a norm, but the truth is that what they're doing is absolutely incredible, especially in this area. We hardly ever see nations around the world get faced with such an onslaught. It's literal head-on fighting, and this is something that the United States prefers to never get involved in. We usually try and maneuver around the bulk of units and try and encircle them or just blow right past them on their flanks. But the Ukrainians are having to take the brunt of a massive Russian offensive head on, and they're doing it. And they've been doing it for months on end through the first Battle of Bakhmut, the second Battle of Bakhmut, and they're still there, and they're still holding the lines, and it's unbelievably impressive. I can't ever get over how much in disbelief I really am about how well Ukrainian soldiers do in the field, and I feel like we haven't really been giving them enough of the credit they deserve, because at this point, we almost expect them to perform this way, and to be able to hold back, from what we can tell, nearly 8 to 12 battalion tactical groups of the Russian army, like they are right here. It's unbelievable, and I can't say that enough. But anyways, we're now going to be moving into our clips, and the first one we saw was of a Ukrainian firefight in the Soledar area. And so, here's the video. We can hear the fire coming in pretty heavy. We now see that one of them actually tipped over the camera. The soldier is coming up. He's readjusting the camera. Firefight is going on pretty heavy outside. We now see him getting back up to the wall. Explosions once again shaking the building. Explosion is still shaking the building. He's now checking to make sure his rifle's ready to go. Bullets are bouncing off the wall outside. He's now firing his AK. He's now gotten back. Now the fire's coming in right on his building. You can hear the bullets bouncing off the ground right in front of it. He's hunkering down for a second. They're hitting this man with everything they've got. And instead of running, he's facing what sounds to be an entire Russian platoon down along with tank support. You now see him picking up the camera and bringing the camera with him to the wall. And now he's showing us outside. And this is how bad of a firefight it is. The weather is overcast, but there's been so much fire and so many explosions in this small area that the entire field is covered in smoke. It's like the Civil War out there, with how much smoke is filling the field from all of these explosions that are occurring right outside. And somehow, this man is not only living through it, it seems as though he's thriving in it. He just put his AK on full auto, shouldered that thing, and just put out a couple of quick bursts right out the window. Apparently the squad, because we heard the Russian fire die down for a couple of seconds, and then it started right back up after he got done firing. This man is a monster, an absolute machine. And these are the kind of guys, once again, that you've got to give a load of credit for holding the lines like they are. We now hear another explosion landing very close by. And with that, that's the end of the video, and I got to give a huge credit to this Ukrainian soldier, not only for being as brave as he is and going through these kinds of conditions in the middle of a firefight, truly hell on earth. It's so bad, the explosions and their smoke is filling the air where you can't see anything beyond a couple of yards in front of you, and this guy is still holding line, and not only that, he's decided to make a film about it for posterity's sake, so people like us around the world can see what they're really dealing with out there. And how brave they really are. Think about like, you've got to think about this. No one in the history of warfare over the past 70 years, for the most part, has been involved in battles that are as ferocious as these, where two sides are faced against each other. In this area, since the Russians have a massive amount of numbers, almost equal strength, and the Russians only get that by just mass numbers alone, and you see them pitted against each other in this kind of brutal fighting. And to think that the Ukrainians still have such high morale and such calm and collected demeanors that this guy's like, well, let me make sure to film this, so that way in the future I can show my kids and show people around the world what I really did here in the Soledar area. A true hero by far, and it's unbelievable to think that this is what the battle has now progressed into, as a true, literal slugfest. With that, we're now going to be moving down to this clip. And it says NSFW do not show, so I cannot show it, but I will explain to y'all what y'all will see if y'all go in the link in the description below and click on the map and go view it. What you will see is a couple of Georgian Legion volunteers, and they'll be standing around a pile of Russians, well, Wagner mercenaries, taking a nap. About 12 of them, from what I counted in the video. From what we can tell, we didn't get to see the lead up to it, but it appears that all 12 of these Wagner guys were walking in a line down a path in some kind of wooded area near the area of Krasnohora, heading in that direction, and the Georgian Legion greased these guys. It seems as though they got them so quickly, none of them even had time to react because they're all, you know, on the path, like they were all still walking behind each other. So, by and large, while I can't show it on stream, it appears that the Wagner group is still getting lambasted in the area again, and I would be surprised, honestly, if we see the Wagner group survive this battle. They hardly survived the first one from what we can tell, and it seems as though they keep on getting replenished over and over by the Russian forces with prisoners and other kinds of undesirable people inside of Russia to keep the unit alive. We saw that their headquarters was hit in Alchevsk the other day. It looks like it was hit pretty heavily. We also saw one of their headquarters in the Svatove area get obliterated, which it also incurred, I believe, several dozen killed and maybe even 100 or more wounded. And once again, we're seeing that the Wagner unit that's being used in the Bakhmut area is once again being wiped out so quickly they're not even having time to react, literally. And so we don't really know how bad off the Wagner group is, but based off of the past few weeks of fighting, their numbers must be depleted, and they must be getting close to the breaking point, or close to the point where they have to be replaced on the line by another BTG or something similar. Moving on into the next clip, to actually show y'all something, we saw some Ukrainian YPR 765s, which are Dutch versions of the M113s, moving on down the road towards the front lines. And these things are pretty cool. M113s aren't exactly the most advanced APC out there anymore, but these are really cool. And we can see them driving by right there. And they actually move pretty quickly. That one actually, you know what's interesting to me is that they call these things YPRs, and it looks like the first one. Well, hang on. I'm going to be honest with everyone here. I'm not really sure if these are M113s, because the hull shape, it kind of reminds me of a Bradley a little bit. Let me pull this up real quick. Let's find some more information on it, because from what I remember, they were some kind of a modified, M113, but they honestly look a little bit more like a Bradley's hull without the turret. So this is it right here. And it's a U.S. tracked light armor vehicle. It is a development of the M113. So it is. It's bizarre looking, though. And this one also has additional armor on it. Really cool tank. Also, it looks like the Dutch have an Oerlikon 25mm gun on top of that thing. So it's like a lightly armored Bradley, pretty much, at that point, in terms of firepower without a tow. That is actually...
It looks like something sitting on top of like a smaller like tank or something. It looks like they've set the body of it on top of something that wasn't supposed to be on.
You know, honestly, it looks like some kind of a Mad Max creation in this picture right here. Looks like you're about to have some guy swinging off of it with a rope, listening like some heavy metal or something like that. I mean, like it's a crazy looking little vehicle, but from what we've heard, they're pretty decent, actually. They're not that bad. Still, some of them, at least the ones that Ukraine got, are older versions that don't have all of the armor modifications. So, you know, you can see right here, they're really just M113s. But still, really nice to know that the Dutch provided them and that the Ukrainians are getting a load of use out of them. And we see them right here racing back up towards the front. An actual sizable column of them as well. See another one coming down. Actually, that doesn't... Well, that is a YPR. That speed stripe right there made me think it wasn't, but it is. And so that's the end of the video, and it's nice to see that the Ukrainians are still using those YPR 765s. That number almost screws me up. I always want to say 675. But anyways, it's good to see that these things are still in use in the area around Bakhmut, and hopefully they will be able to help move troops up to the line so that way they can reinforce it, hold it, or reposition if need be. With that, we're now going to be moving on to the next clip. And once again, I can't really show this one on stream. The skull and crossbones is pretty much my sign to show that it's not really something I can show. But this clip is a little bit more of an unfortunate one, and the one that I thought was important to share, because I always show y'all videos of the Ukrainians always being on the winning end almost every time. Like, for example, in Soledar, where we just watched that video of that Ukrainian soldier being as brave as anyone could be, honestly, almost to the level that where you get a silver star in the U.S. military. But it doesn't always happen that way, and this is why I have a massive respect for Ukrainian soldiers and their morale and how good of a demeanor they have, considering that they too sometimes go through very rough times. And this video is one of those instances, and allow me to explain it because I can't show it. So in this video, you would see a Ukrainian squad of infantry moving forward through an open field in the Bakhmut area, and a mortar round comes whistling down on top of them. They hear it, they hit the ground, the mortar round explodes about 40 yards behind them, and then they get up for a second to try and reorganize, figure out what was going on, get their squad in, I guess you could say, a cohesive formation, and then the second one comes in. But this time, the second one lands to the far left of their formation, almost right on top of a guy, and the guy gets hit. The shrapnel goes into his face. It, of course, takes him on out. And then the cameraman, I'm not sure what position he is in the squad. It appears that he may have been the squad leader. He got up and ran over there to check on the guy because he wasn't moving. And when he got around to the front of the guy, you could see that he had, of course, passed away. They grabbed some stuff off of him, and it looks like they may have gotten his AK, a little bit of ammo. He picked it up, started running back to the rest of the squad, told him that the guy was down and out. There was really no way for him to grab him out of the field, and it was time for them to all take off and retreat back across the field, or otherwise the squad would most likely be obliterated by Russian mortar fire. And it's a sad video, of course, if you watch it. No one really acted over emotional. Everyone was still incredibly professional, although they had taken a loss. But it's something important that I thought I should show today, because the Ukrainians are always painted as an invincible force, and in my opinion, if they were an invincible force, what's so special about them having such high morale and always joking around and being in good spirits? It's the fact that I see a decent amount of them actually taking casualties every once in a while, and you sit there and you know that that's what's going on in the background. A lot of these soldiers that you see in these films have been in situations like that, where their fellow infantrymen have ended up, of course, sacrificing themselves for the sake of the war effort. And it really adds a whole extra depth and layer to what these guys are really dealing with out there. It's not a cakewalk all the time. For the Ukrainians, it mostly is. Like in the Balaklia and Kherson area, they just blew through everything. Really, they took no casualties. The Russians were completely disorganized. They fell apart. That was a win. But in other places like Bakhmut, these guys are still joking around, laughing, and they're dealing with this kind of stuff every day, and they're seeing it for themselves. And while I see it on film, and if y'all click on the link below, y'all too will see it on film, I think it's still something very important to point out. and I believe it deserves them a whole lot more respect, considering that a lot of these guys are going out there every day with the high spirits, joking around and laughing on camera, and they know that that can happen to them each and every day. And I think that's definitely worth pointing out, definitely worth giving them a whole lot of praise, that they're still the brave, laughing, funny Ukrainians that we know, but that's what they're really doing out there. And so with that, we're now going to be moving on from that clip, which I, once again, cannot unfortunately show. And we're now going to be moving into the Bakhmut area, where we saw that the town has been going through some pretty rough times, of course, and undergoing shelling. And we can see this from the car of what we can tell to be a repositioning Ukrainian unit in the town. And so with that, here's the video. And one second, let me try and get the graphics up, because this is actually a montage of barrages occurring in the town. Right there, you can see that some of the residential buildings on the outskirts have been hit and destroyed. Here and around the city center, you can see that some apartment buildings have been hit and damaged heavily at this point. We now see them moving through some rubble, trying to evacuate some citizens. Artillery landing almost right on top of them. Another round coming in. And with that, that's the end of the video. And we can see right there at the end, it appears that these volunteers are running back to their car. But that rounds it out. And I gotta say, Matthew, I don't know about you, but that's gotta be terrifying. You know, I honestly feel that if you're in that situation, the most terrifying thing about artillery is the sound of that whistle as it's coming in.
Yeah, I think the sound plays a huge factor in haunting people after they get struck by the missiles and stuff like that. That causes a lot of PTSD. It's
gotta be, because you've got to think about that from their perspective. When you hear that whistling noise, it's too late. That round is going to land wherever. There's no way you can run away from where it's going to land. So if it hits near you, you already had a heads up that thing's on its way. You don't know where it's going to hit. You don't know if it's going to be right on top of you, right near you, or away from you, but you can hear it coming in. And, you know, and once again, and I don't want to harp on this all night long and be on a soapbox about it, but I feel like they deserve it a lot. These Ukrainian soldiers go through the rigors, the stress, and the trauma of having to be under that kind of fear a lot. And you'll see them deal with this on video, and you almost can't even tell that they're in fear or anything similar. These guys are just brave as hell. They got a lot of courage. You know, and of course, courage isn't being completely fearless. That's just being foolish. Courage is being filled with fear, yet still carrying on like you don't have any fear. And that's what these guys in Bakhmut are doing all the time. And I feel like they deserve a load of respect. I feel like honestly, everyone around on YouTube that covers what's going on in Bakhmut should give a moment of respect to these guys over the coming days, because at this point, it seems as though everyone on YouTube has kind of fallen into this mindset, and I feel like I have as well, and that's why I'm really harping on it tonight, that it's just expected of these guys to do this kind of job, for them to undergo these kinds of shellings, to undergo literally hordes of Russians coming down into their positions, just having to obliterate them almost point-blank range, and they're just supposed to deal with it, and it's nothing special and nothing exceptional, but these guys are dealing with exceptional stuff every day, and I feel like they deserve just a whole load of credit for it, more so than anyone's been giving them so far. And so with that, we're going to be moving on from this little clip in Bakhmut and on to the next one. This one's actually more closer to the front lines near Opitne, where we saw that a Russian tank was moving forward in the area. We can tell it's somewhere in the fields to the southeast, and it ran over an anti-tank mine, which was nice to see. See it moving forward. I don't even know what that was.
Wile E. Coyote?
I don't even know what that was. Look, let's watch that again. That whole thing was bizarre. I think that may have been one of those German DM-22 mines or something similar. But let me get the graphics up, because, you know, the graphics don't load in. So the tank's moving forward. Looks like it's got a dozer on it. It moves forward. We can see something light up over there, and it looks like it may be something like a DM-22. We now hear some kind of whistling. It sounds like some kind of an Acme product. We can see something explode right there. The Russian tank is still moving forward. It appears that it hasn't taken any damage. It's now firing directly in front of...
Oh, dang. The camera stayed on, though. That's shocking.
Oh, well, it looks like the little Wile E. Coyote weapon was just the appetizer to what was really about to happen to him. Because as soon as this tank fires, it looks like it gets hit by a mine on the left side of the tree line. It blew off reactive tiles. Look at that. There, right here.
Crazy.
Holy moly. Golly. Sounds like the crew's freaking out.
Got the, like, animated screams going on.
Oh, now they're coming under direct fire. Oh my god. This is terrible. So what's happened is that they took a mortar hit. Apparently the Ukrainian infantry was right in front of them. They're now trying to bail out of the tank, and the Ukrainian infantry is starting to gun them down as they're climbing out, it sounds like. At least that's what it sounds like we're hearing. I'm not entirely sure, though. Also, in case if y'all are wondering why they're not continuing on the fight, if y'all hear in this video, the engine got knocked out. The engine went off. And what's funny and what's really ironic about Russian tanks is that nothing inside of them can operate unless if the engine's running. So if the engine turns off, the turret cannot turn. There's no way to manually turn the turret. There's no way to load the gun because the gun's loaded by an autoloader, which requires the engine to be on. So as soon as that engine goes off and cannot come on again, the whole tank is knocked out completely, and they either have to bail out, surrender, or do something similar. Oh, wait a minute, the turret's still moving.
Oh.
Maybe the engine didn't go off? I don't know. If the gun fires again, maybe we're mishearing it and the engine just got a lot quieter? I don't know. The gun's not firing. At least for this moment. That was actually a little bit of a surprise. I didn't think the engine would still be on. Apparently it may be.
Was this video uploaded by the Russians or the Ukrainians?
We're not really sure. But we do know that this is a Russian tank. Ooh,
Oh, that's dumb. That's dumb right there.
Oh, Darwin Award winner right here. The round popped right off the tank right there. And off he goes. He got shot at like some kind of varmint. Oh man, you could just imagine, Matthew, if that was someone from the American Foreign Legion from the South. Doggone varmint. Get it! Wait a minute, hang on, let me do that. Please, we got darn varmint on the tank, get it! I almost gasped. Oh no. But that's the end of the video, and if y'all didn't see that right there, apparently, and real quick to clarify this, I saw that someone actually said that there is some kind of a battery pack that can still operate the turret even after the engine is off. So apparently, and real quick correction because I may be wrong on this statement, apparently the autoloader gets knocked out if the engine isn't running, but the turret can still be automatically rotated and then extenuating to being somewhat manually rotated, although at a very slow speed, by the crew, even after the engine's been knocked out. But that still doesn't fix the problem that the tank can't fire, and so the crew bailed out. You could see someone shooting at them like some kind of varmints as they were climbing out of it. So, very interesting to see. Good to know that the Ukrainians took out another, what appears to be a Russian T-72B based off of the ERA tile layout. And once again, another tank that the Russians won't be able to use, and probably one of the better ones that they have on the front at this point, compared to all of the tanks they have left. Moving on out of the Bakhmut area, once again, that's all the news we have, and two of them we can't even cover, but a huge respect, once again, to all of the soldiers fighting in Bakhmut. They are heroes through and through, a lot of them dealing with terrible things, hell on earth. The citizenry that are still there are still dealing with that as well, and I feel like they deserve a lot of credit for just sticking it through and going the course. Not a lot of people can do that. It frays the hell out of people's nerves, and these guys are dealing with it each and every day, and they're still laughing and joking in a whole load of videos and getting a kick out of the whole thing, which is just unbelievable and unfathomable to think about. With that, we're now going to be moving out of Bakhmut and out of Ukraine as a whole, because it's now time to take a look at the Russian conscripts that will be brought into Ukraine to once again filter out the dead and the wounded, and then fill in the ranks that they once held. In the area of Murmansk, which is one of the furthest northern areas of Russia, and also a terrible place, it's really just a massive swamp, as you can see right here. The Russians have tried to take on some more conscripts and start training them, and these guys are living in sub-zero temperatures. And let me check this real quick. Arctic Circle. I believe these guys are in the Arctic Circle, if I'm correct. And let's see here. And I'm correct. These guys are in the Arctic Circle, and they've put them in tents in the Arctic Circle. This isn't really exactly ideal, so here's the video.
Живем в землянках, блядь. Ёбаная армия, блядь. Саня, нос покажи.
Я картошку взял.
Ну, это чё, ну, за хуйня? Я пришел сам лично на войну.
Oh, wait a minute, this guy's actually a volunteer. The rest of these guys got the short end of the stick. He's here because he wants to be, and now he's regretting it.
А на
Добровольцем.
меня, ну, рапорт пишет, что я пью. Так ничему не учат, я стрелял 2 раза. Ну, разберись, нахуй.
Или жить в этом говне, ёпта. Без дверей, без нихуя. Без крыши, блядь. Снег идет. Нормально ходит.
Why does this guy sound like one of the goofy sidekicks on a cartoon? He's like, Brainy? Oh, wait a minute, no. What was the mouse? Like, it was Brainiac, and the other mouse, what was it called?
Something in the brain, wasn't it?
No, there was the big-headed rat, and then there, you know, the brain. I think his name was Brainiac. Yeah. And then there was the little-headed rat that was really stupid, and I forgot his name. But this guy laughs like that
Peaky?
rat. Peaky, yeah, Peaky. Yeah, Brainiac. That's the way this guy sounds. Like, it's so freaking annoying. But anyways, moving on.
Pinky. It was Pinky, not Peaky.
Peaky Blindness. Anyway, moving on from Peaky and getting on into Pinky. This guy sounds like that. He's saying there, yeah, it's terrible. I can't get over it. But anyways, Pinky and the Brain. Okay, so the Brain. It was not Brainiac. It was the Brain. Anyways, we got their names totally wrong, but y'all got the picture. That's what this guy sounds like. And these guys are living in the Arctic Circle. Sub-zero temperatures all the time. The ground up there is permafrost, and if it isn't, it's a mosquito-infested swamp. Literally, the whole area is. This whole area, which is actually called Karelia, as a... Not really Karelia. Karelia's down here. I'm sorry. This is Arkhangelsk. Yeah, it's Arkhangelsk. I'm sorry, I had to get that right. And Holdings is a swamp. It's a terrible place. It's absolutely inhospitable. It's also very close to where the Russians keep a little bit of their Arctic fleet, I believe, in Arkhangelsk. Right down here, Arkhangelsk, which is where some of the Russian fleet is based at. But moving on from that, place is awful. It sucks. And these guys are living in sub-zero temperatures in tents. So if that doesn't give you an idea of how badly performing the Russians are trying to get this mobilization underway a little bit, this is a good example, because they can't even keep these guys out of literally freezing cold temperatures that'll kill normal people, even if they need to. And so with that, we're now going to be moving on into the next clip in Russia. And you know, we've been largely propaganda-free on this channel for a long time. And sadly, I'm going to have to break that streak today. And not really sadly, because it's actually hilarious, but check this out, because the Russians actually got back one of their prisoners. Of course, prisoner of war exchanges are usually an equal exchange. And we saw that they got one of theirs back, and they put them on an interview to explain what Ukrainian prisoner of war camps are like, because it's terrible. Y'all are about to hear the terrible stories of how the Ukrainians treat the Russians when they're in captivity. And it's, honestly, it made me think differently about the Ukrainians. It was terrible. They feed them 3 meals a day. If they violate any kind of codes, they're given push-ups and sit-ups as punishment. They're taught the Ukrainian anthem. It's terrible. It makes me want to cry. Anyways, I'm gonna stop kidding. It was stupid. They tried to make this sound terrible, and this guy literally just made it sound like it was some kind of summer camp. So with that, here's the video.
Он долго не раздумывал, отправиться в зону СВО или нет.
Let me try and see if we can get the graphics a little bit higher quality. Come on, video. Work with me. You're always putting it in 240. We want 540 at least.
Нет, ушел по контракту. Их подразделение в первые же дни попало под обстрел противника. Получив ранение и превозмогая боль, Михаил несколько часов нес на себе товарища.
I like how vague she was about the details. After receiving a wound and overcoming pain. Like, what does that mean? Like, did he stub his toe? Like, what is that? Did he get his face blown off? What kind of wound did he get, and what kind of pain was it? You're gonna sit there and not tell us? And also, the guy looked fine. When you see him in a second, he looks like he didn't even get hurt.
Несколько часов нес на себе товарища, постоянно теряющего сознание. Затем их схватили украинские военные. Сегодня мы встретились с Михаилом. который вернулся домой, мужественно пройдя через ужасы плена.
The horrors of capture. Okay, remember that. They're trying to phrase this like the horrors of capture. And they got sad music playing and everything. It's like one of those commercials that you get for the local pound where the dogs are like looking all sad and stuff. That's what they're setting this up as. And this guy is literally about to lay out the most relaxed and nicest prisoner of war camp you've ever heard of. Everything he says is actually in a positive light, which is really interesting. So here's the video.
Делали предложение, что вот можно сходить по контракту, там до Нового года 4 месяца.
A 4-month contract? This guy didn't even get any training. They literally just got him and threw him on the front line with a 4-month contract. That's how long Russian training's supposed to be. So this guy doesn't even have any training.
У меня просто остался там кусочек до пенсии добить. Я вот только из-за этого, в принципе, пошел. Так-то. Ну и все, думаю, схожу. Ничего страшного. Нас отправили резко в эту область Харьковскую. Пошло наступление, то есть пошли войска, то есть с той стороны. Вот. Там регулярные войска ихние. А здесь, то есть мы тыловики. Но не военные, то есть там военных-то, честно говоря, по пальцам пересчитать.
Oh my god, now that's not a good look for the Russians. This guy is like, we barely were a military. Like, this guy's in a volunteer fighting unit, and he's like, we were in the rear line. Like, we weren't supposed to be fighting at all. We hardly were the military even. And that's not really a good setup for the story going forward, because it always shows how incompetent the Russian military is.
По пальцам пересчитать, то есть кто. Все просто вот так разбежались, то есть кто куда. И все.
Расскажите о ранении, как вы получили ранение?
Нас приехал танк забирать. Вот. Сели на танк, то есть там человек 15-20, то есть там.
God, talking about packing that thing down. Who the hell is driving that? Tony? Fitting 15 to 20. Fitting 15 to 20 people on a tank means that there's no open space on that tank. Like, they're sitting on the front glacis, on the engine bay, on top of the turret, everywhere. Like, forget the armor. The people are the armor now. Like, they're all over the tank.
Человек 15-20, то есть там. Ну и все, то есть прилетает снаряд от миномета прямо вот под ноги. И вот нога, лицо там. Ну, сейчас зажило уже.
And also, I like how this guy, like, you know, oh, mortar blew up, and it hit me on my leg and my face, and it healed now. And he's literally got like a small little cut you get from a paper, like a piece of paper sliding against you, and that's the terrible wound he suffered. Now, I'll tell you this. I actually watched a video today of Kyle Carpenter on the David Letterman show, a guy who received the Medal of Honor. He's I believe he's only two of the living people who were a part of the Marine Corps that have gotten the Medal of Honor. And that guy literally jumped on top of a grenade and it blew up under him. And that guy's face had a little bit of scarring. He looked great, though, for someone who had jumped right on top of a grenade and also one hell of a guy. But this guy's got nothing. Like if he had actually been injured, considering that he was in a prisoner of war camp for like 3 to 4 months, that would be a pretty big scar. And it was such little harm. It was like a grazing wound or something like that, that he doesn't even have a scar. You can hardly even tell anything happened to him.
У многих была истерика, что начинали бегать, просто там стрелять в воздух. Вот. Он не знает, то есть, что делать, куда. То есть, вот. Начали выходить уже, тут только начало светать, и они тут вот с кустов прямо раз.
Oh my god, wait a minute! Oh, the story went 0 to 100. The Ukrainians were all hanging out around the tank they were on. So apparently a drone dropped a bomblet on top of them, which is what exploded. And then they came running out of the bushes right afterwards and put a gun up to this guy's head and forced him to surrender like they were doing some kind of SWAT raid. Oh my god, that's actually crazy. What the? Like, I don't. That story is insane. Like, this guy is making the Ukrainians seem like the freaking boogeyman right now. Like, they were on top of things in the Kharkiv area.
Никуда не денешься. Не били, ничего, то есть нормальное отношение было. Когда уже в Харькове, в СИЗО, то есть понятно, когда разрезали, то есть все, ты видишь, и они говорят, вы находитесь, то есть там-то, вот Харьковское СИЗО, то есть изолятора, как бы это, вы военнопленные официально сейчас. Все, тогда уже как бы ты просто выдохнул, то есть и все, что. Ну, уже в тюрьме, то есть тебя уже здесь точно не убьют. А там уже поехали с Харькова в Киев поехали. С Киева повезли уже вот под Львов в этот лагерь. Вот. И там уже сидели. А там уже на обмен, то есть там была конечная точка, то есть откуда меняют. Ну, многих держали в СИЗО, потому что...
Many of them were kept in the detention center because the camp itself is fairly small. It was terrible. It was cramped conditions. We were all suffocating. We were living on top of each other. So in a second, I think he's about to say it was a camp big enough for 300 people. And then here comes the bombshell afterwards. Watch this.
Там лагерь-то сам по себе, он как бы небольшой. Он там рассчитан на 300 человек.
It is only meant to house 300 people. I can't even hold it back. Because what he's about to say is about to derail the entire build-up to this story.
Вот, всего лишь.
То есть у вас там было 300 человек?
Не,
So the woman, like, obviously he's building up the story where you think there'd be overcrowding. And so she's like, so there were like 300 of you? And he's like, no, maybe like 150, maybe. Like, it's hardly even crowded. Like, they're spacing out the Russian prisoners so much. These guys are living in, like, luxurious hotel conditions compared to most prisoners of war camps. The place is at half capacity when he's there. And he's trying to build it up like they're in some kind of overcramped conditions or something. Like, it's hilarious. Anyways.
Also, like everybody's talking about, how's he like, you know, he's not skinny or anything.
No, he's like
he couldn't have been like starved.
He's like in the what did Charles Darwin call it? Evolution from normal person to Mr. Lunchtime. He's in the process of evolving. You know, like that little picture thing they have where it goes from an ape to a person. He's kind of like that right now. So we know that he was well fed because he's hardly been back in Russia, according to this little story. So this guy was eating like a king.
Starting to think this guy wasn't even on the front lines at all.
I mean, hell, if he was, why would they let him paint such a positive story about being a Ukrainian prisoner? This guy almost makes you want to become a Ukrainian prisoner because it sounds so good. And here comes the better part. This is the part that derails the entire thing about how they ate.
Себе готовили, но там по сравнению с этими изоляторами, понятно, то есть тут кормили вообще, 3 раза. Распорядок армейский, в 6 подъем.
Wait a minute! Hang on! This guy's getting more sleep than me! In the camp! He goes to sleep at 10, wakes up at 6. This man's getting 8 hours of sleep a day. Talk about torture. 8 hours of sleep, that's it? You ought to be giving him 10. Come on. Man, Ukraine's looking worse and worse by the day. I mean, like, how in the world is he even supposed to live with 8 hours of sleep alone? At his age. Come on.
В 10 отбой, то есть, если кто-то там что-то, режим нарушает, или какие-то, проступки там совершаются.
Not the push-ups and the sit-ups.
Вот это было, то есть, такое. Ну и выучили гимн их наизусть. То есть, про Бандеру песню наизусть выучили. Самое, что понравилось, это София Ротару. Вот песню выучили. Червоную руту эту. Там постоянно приезжали всякие репортеры, то есть там, иностранцы в основном. Наших тут там, не было там. Англичане там были, австралийцы, канадцы были. То есть что-то. Просто вот интересовались, как вас содержат, то есть там вот все такое, то есть как питание, то есть, опять же, зачем приехали сюда, чем будете потом заниматься. Вас все равно, говорит, поменяют, если поменяют вас. То есть сюда собираетесь обратно ехать. Вот. Там все в камерах, там иностранцы там все понатыкали, там же все... Вот европейцы, то есть, у них там конвенция вот эта женевская работает, то есть, как бы...
What the hell? He talks about the Geneva Convention like it's some kind of foreign thing. He's like, yeah, they like, had this thing. It was like called the Geneva Convention or something. You know, like it was, like...
they don't know about the Geneva, they don't know about the Geneva Convention in Russia.
The Geneva. The evil,
yeah,
evil
they definitely
convention.
don't know about that.
Yeah, they don't know. Apparently, the guy doesn't know about it because he's like, yeah, they had this like weird thing called the Geneva Convention. Apparently, it protected us all or something like that and guaranteed us good treatment. So that was kind of neat. And even he kind of made it sound like the cameras were not in there to watch them. It was really more so for their safety and to ensure that the protocols of the Geneva Convention are followed. This guy is making the Ukrainians out to instead of running prisoner of war camps, it sounds like they're running like Boy Scout camps nearly. I mean, like, this sounds better than most countries' basic training. And this guy came back somewhat large, and he looks well maintained. There's no way you can paint this to be a sad story, and they're playing the sad music and stuff around it like it was supposed to have been actually tortured or something, and then they would be playing happy getting music or something similar.
Женевская работает, то есть как бы они нам не зачитывали там и наши права там и все вот это вот полностью.
They even read their rights to him.
И приезжали, говорю, у них даже все это отслеживается в режиме онлайн, они смотрят.
That's the end of the video, but I wanted to share with y'all the horror stories that the Russians are giving their own people about being brought into captivity. And that's the horror story. That's the worst thing that they could get. Come on, like that's the worst, apparently, because that's the one they put on TV. So
I see Alex saying that Russia blocked the interview after it came out. No joke. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked because he kind of painted somewhat of a light picture of what Ukrainian POWs are treated like.
Hell, he painted a great picture. I bet you that right there had to have been a massive motivating factor for Russians who were kind of on the fence to call up the "I want to live" hotlines to surrender, because he made it sound great, and it probably is exactly the way he's explaining it, because like he said, Western reporters were coming in there. The Geneva Convention was in place there. They had monitors coming through, making sure that they're being fed, well taken care of, well kept, and so on. I mean, like, the only thing they were missing was some room service or concierge service or something like that. It sounded fine. But so anyways, now moving on from that insane interview, which was bizarre, we're going to be moving on to the next thing from Russia, where we saw Russian propaganda makers saying the true intention still is that they want all of Ukraine. It's not just part of it, it's all of it. And they'll eventually get it. They'll be in Lviv by next week. Haven't we heard that before? Anyways, here's the video.
Wait a minute, what does this say?
It just says they're translating it. It may not be accurate completely.
Oh.
Так, товарищи, давайте подумаем насчет изменения военной доктрины. В Вашингтоне не хватит подгузников, потому что мы всегда ссылаемся на доктрину. Путин законник.
Putin's all about the law. That's why we followed the Geneva Convention so well.
Алексей Александрович уже просто вот с трудом сдерживает здоровый, конструктивный пессимизм.
Wow, gee, I wonder who the propagandist is here out of this whole entire group. It definitely can't be this guy. Like, you know, he's literally got like a swastika painted on his shirt. He can't be the propagandist. You know, I have a feeling it's this guy here wearing the blue shirt that looks like Smiling Harry or whatever his name is in the memes.
Yeah, maybe so.
Активный пессимизм.
Вообще, с удовольствием, Саша, согласился. Прям как бальзам надо, что они нас боятся. Они нас не боятся, в этом-то и проблема. Больше того, они все больше нас не боятся. А чем бояться? Русские воюют с русскими за русский счет. Чем дольше воюют, тем им лучше. Там кто-то там сказал, что мы сейчас еще с вами можем показать. Они, ой-ой-ой, боюсь.
Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой.
Черта не боятся. В этом-то и проблема вся. От этого все и идет, что они...
Now, you know something? At the beginning, when this guy started this little spiel months ago, because we've seen him multiple times at different shows saying similar stuff, it seemed as though it was sincere. Now I feel like this guy is just the guy they pay to say this stuff, so that way there's someone on TV to beat up. And you can see that a lot in America as well. I think there's a pretty well-known one. I'm trying to think of his name, Matthew, on one of the...
What's he on, Fox?
Yeah, Fox, Ronaldo.
Yeah, Ronaldo's one of them that they beat up on, and also
who's the guy on CNN?
The other guy, Juan something.
Yeah, and then they also have, I believe they have one on CNN. Almost all.
They had Kasich on CNN that they beat up on.
Oh, so just to lay that out, in America, for the private companies that run the news here, like Fox and CNN, they have their own beat up guys. You know, the guys that say the opposite. They're the opposition.
Punching bags.
Yeah, punching bags, so that way everyone on the network can beat the hell out of them, and they get paid to do it, and they know what they're doing. This guy, over the course of time and watching him say the same things over and over, he is this version of Kasich on CNN or Ronaldo on Fox. He's pretty much their guy. They just send him around from network to network so everyone can beat the hell out of him and make him look like an idiot. But what's the funny thing is that what he's saying, while it's supposed to be ludicrous and stupid to the Russian public and keep them watching, the lines he has him saying, it's actually pretty true. So pretty interesting to see. But anyways, we're going to let it continue.
Перестают бояться, они повышают ставки, повышают, и причем постоянно это делают. Вот, понимаешь, не боятся они ни черта. В этом-то и проблема вся, что они не боятся. А надо сделать так, чтобы этой сволочи боялись. Идет сейчас эскалация полная. И НАТО готовится к вооруженному столкновению с нами. И это очевидно. Если сейчас закрывать на это глаза, то мы просто опять будем то же самое думать, что мы Украину сейчас за 2 дня возьмем. Ну, что мы на самом деле?
Глаза-то никто не закрывает. Кто в нынешней ситуации та фашистская Германия, которая создала тот СС, в который пошли французы? Польша?
Да.
Польша это сегодняшняя...
Да, и Польша,
она
That's interesting. The Polish, who just absolutely hate like everything that happened to them in the Second World War, and also probably one of the biggest victims of the Second World War. For some reason, they're the ones who are the modern Nazis now, according to Russia. For some reason, the Russians are in such disbelief at this stage of the war that it's no longer about Ukraine, it's about Poland, America, and Britain. Those are like their 3 enemies right now that they keep on talking about on their media. And now these guys are pointing out Poland.
Совсем о другом. Они мечтают, что это будет главная страна Европы.
Понятно. Они делают чего? Они на Белоруссию лезут?
Они могут пойти туда, об этом Владимир Владимирович сказал, что он в курсе.
Не, ну Владимир Владимирович вообще в курсе всего.
На самом деле...
Вопрос, пойдут ли поляки.
What type of Mussolini level of propaganda was that line right there? Vladimir knows it all. Oh, come on. Come on. And look
That's
at this,
insanity.
And look at this stupidity. Like, you know, the DPR and LPR, according to them, was annexed and it's theirs. And they include them on the map of what they control in Ukraine, but they've completely deleted Crimea off the map because, you know, that's just Russian. It's not even part of Ukraine. But they also said that about the DPR and the LPR and annexed them on the 23rd of February, a day before the war. So why are they not taken off the map as well? There's some very interesting map work at play on this show.
Не, ну Владимир Владимирович вообще в курсе всего.
На самом деле,
вопрос, пойдут ли поляки.
На самом деле всегда было так. Вот они 5 областей. Вот они собираются встать здесь, по административным границам.
Ну и пусть встают.
Но они-то думают, что мы встанем вот
да
здесь,
пусть думают.
А между нами будет нейтральная полоса.
Ну и прекрасно.
Потому что если мы пойдем дальше...
Ну и прекрасно. А тебе что, Винницу нужно?
Все нужно.
А, тебе нужна Винница?
Все нужно.
Ну,
знаете, вот в Европе,
что это мы
на самом
нашими
деле, в
землями
Европе есть еще...
I like how the guy just, like, laid out a line, like, down the middle of Ukraine, like, literally down the smack dab middle, and they can't even take the far east portion of it, and they're losing it as the months go by. I like to see that they are still living in such a delusional lie. That's got to be the only thing that's keeping them going at this point. And moving on down to Ryazan, we can see that, hell, I mean, like, apparently they are going to keep running the country in the ground, and the war support will keep around long enough, because now, apparently, the Russian government's run out of money to give the families of the dead soldiers white lattes. Can you believe it? They're not giving out white lattes anymore. They're giving out cakes.
What?
Yeah,
Cakes?
they're giving out cakes. Here's a video of them going up to the family of a dead soldier and giving them a cake and some flowers like it's his birthday or something.
Декабря наша страна отмечала знаменательный
See, there's the cake.
День Героев Отечества. Сыргокалинский район провел
Your father is dead and you'll never know him properly. Have cake.
ряд мероприятий, приуроченных к данному празднику, в том числе вручение цветов со сладкими презентами семьям погибших военнослужащих на специальной военной операции. Спецоперация унесла 9 жителей Сыргокалинского района, из них 6 жителей районного центра Сыргокалы. Камбулатов Магомед, Абдулаев Хизри, Алиев Зубайру, Тимирханов Абдулмиджид, Багаматов Арсен и Харимбеков Иса. Все они посмертно награждены орденами кавалера мужества. В День Героев Отечества заместитель главы администрации муниципального района Сергокалинский район Баркакады Меджидов вместе с ведущим специалистом по делам молодежи районной администрации Мурадом Мусаевым посетили семьи погибших военнослужащих. Они выразили слова благодарности за мужество и отвагу сыновей и супругов, которые храбро сражались за интересы Родины. А также добавили, что в случае чего родственники погибших могут обращаться за помощью и поддержкой в администрацию Сергокалинского района. В свою очередь, родители и супруги погибших поблагодарили руководство администрации за оказываемое внимание.
And here's your cake. See, he's putting it down so gently.
Внимание.
So all the care of the Russian Federation put together into one thing, a $6 cake from Intamans. And so with that,
Who exactly are the goons that showed up to like give them the cake? Who are these guys?
I have no idea. Why does this guy look like he's a Lukashenko impersonator in his free time?
They look like they might be like involved in some shady business or something like the mob.
Honestly, that's what I was thinking. It's like they just came straight out of Russian mob headquarters with the cake and the flowers. like these guys just got done whacking a family for not being able to pay their high interest rate loan on time, and then as a side shoot, they also delivered the flowers and cake to this family whose family member just died in the war. I gotta tell y'all. You know, it's going really bad when the Russians have lied to themselves so badly that they're doing so good that now they can't even give out ladas, which are very cheap. Now they're having to give out cakes, which are much cheaper. And that's it. That's all they're getting from what we can tell. All this family will get for the dead soldier is a cake and some flowers. They're not getting money anymore. They're not getting a car anymore. They're not getting anything. That's it. That's all they'll be getting, and that's the end of it. That's the end of the life of another person. And the Russian government could just care less. Next thing you know, they're going to be giving them like some random crap like they were at the beginning of the war when they didn't really have the whole system set up, like sunflower seeds or something like that. Because
the keychain next.
Yeah, keychain, maybe a t-shirt from the enforcerstore.com. I don't know, but they'll be giving them something. Hopefully, maybe they'll be giving out Z t-shirts next. I think that would probably be the most ironic thing.
Dragoon 50 said, Enforcer Matt, Putin says let them eat cake.
Oh, no! Oh, my... That's actually what they're doing. They're, like, the Russian government's so aloof, they're literally giving people cake. That was actually perfect. That was poetic. But we're going to be moving on from this. Just had to show that to y'all again. And we're now going to be moving on to our last bit of news inside of Russia, because if you think things are bad now, it's gonna get way worse. The Ukrainians hit Kursk again last night. It's now becoming so normal that no one's even really talking about it, but we got a video of explosions occurring at a base inside of Kursk, and so here's the video. Right out there. When you see the Russian air defense system trying to shoot it down, but when you see that the missile made it to its target and hit anyways. And so with that, that's the end video, but you can still see that the Russians just aren't doing good. And no matter how they want to lie or kid themselves and how much the bots want to come in here to this live chat and kid themselves about how well it's going for them, nothing can really change the underlying reality that we're seeing here. And so with that, we're now going to be moving on into Ukraine and into our location unknowns, but before we get into the proper location unknown news, we were talking about one of the networks I'm about to be showing tonight. I had to show y'all the fear-mongering that always goes around on a monthly basis here in the mainstream news, and why, honestly, I wouldn't really take it with a lot of, I guess you could say, a lot of seriousness. But before we get to checking this out on the typical fear-mongering, let's take a couple of polls, and let's take a look at them, because a lot of y'all have voted on these polls, and a lot of y'all are here tonight as well, and I want to see what y'all are thinking about certain topics. And so with that, what do we got, Matthew?
All right, so for our first segment, we have two polls to address, and the first one says, reports indicate that neither Ukraine or Russia is agreeable to a Christmas ceasefire. What are your thoughts? It looks like 83% said that's good, Ukraine will maintain momentum, 11% said not sure, I'm undecided, and 7% said that is bad, the soldiers will be exhausted. Now, I'm kind of torn on this one a little bit, because I'm sure the soldiers would like to take a break because they've been fighting nonstop. I know they rotate them out, but still, they're fighting nonstop. But at the same time, they really have good momentum right now, and I feel like the Russians would not honor a ceasefire even if they could agree on one. So I would have to say that it's good they're not having one, but I'm still a little torn about it. But Enforcer, what say you?
I would say it's good that they're not having a Christmas truce. If people really get caught up on the Christmas truce, and it only happened one time in history, for 1 year out of the First World War, and it never happened again beyond that year anywhere on the front. Wars, once they start, they have to be continuous. They cannot stop for holidays. They cannot stop for federal holidays, bank holidays, or anything similar. A war must go on every single day, even if it is a very important holiday like Christmas. And so I think it's honestly good that there will not be a Christmas truce. Hopefully they can do something to boost the morale and keep the spirits high on Christmas, perhaps hand out some kind of cakes, maybe a little bit of alcohol. The Ukrainian military is dry, but maybe make a special occasion for that one moment, you know, and just let soldiers celebrate it the best they can. But the war's got to keep going. And if you allow a ceasefire to happen, the Russians would respect it on Christmas Day, but their soldiers wouldn't be celebrating Christmas. They would be preparing fortifications for the next 24 hours later when the war would begin again. And so I honestly think that it's probably a very good thing that there will not be a Christmas truce and that the war will continue, although I still do have a little bit of compassion for I actually have a lot of compassion for the Ukrainian soldiers, and that a lot of them would probably like to have a break from the fighting, but sadly, wars just don't work that way. And the only time it happened was a once-off instance in all of history in 1914. And so with that, I hope that does address the poll fairly well. And also, how many votes were on that one, Matthew? Did you know?
It looks like 1,100.
Wow, that was actually a lot. And so with that, let's get on to the next one. And how many people voted on the next one?
So in the next one, there were 1,000 votes, and the question was, do you think this Russian soldier actually endured the events he has described? Oh, those terrible events he described. 51% said yes, he probably did. 15% said unsure. 20% said somewhat, but he's exaggerating. And 14% said no, he's making everything up. So I would have to say somewhat he's exaggerating, because I think he's making some of that stuff up because his story was kind of a little weak sounding. But at the same time, they didn't make Ukraine out to be the boogeyman that I thought they would be. So there must have been some truth in there. But Enforcer, what do you think about that one?
Honestly, I think that's a true story, because with how positive of a light it painted out the Ukrainian soldiers, and that they were trying to phrase this to be a terrible story, it had to have been true, because there's no way that they would allow that to air live with how positive of a story it really was. It didn't even sound like a camp. It sounded like it did sound like a camp, though. It sounded like a summer camp, and there's no way that he could have exaggerated that any further to make it sound better than it was, because like that was just crazy, and the fact that they even aired was even crazier for a short while. So with that, I hope that addresses that poll fairly well. And what do we have next? Do we have another poll?
No more polls. So moving into our super chat questions. Up first, we have a $52 super chat from Tim H, who says, for the future lawyer, why can video be fair use, but a short moment of music and everyone panics?
Good question. And generally, that would require like 40 minutes to explain, so I can't really explain it all in detail, but the reason why videos aren't really copyrighted is because there's a lot more leeway with fair use with that, usually because it could be considered commentary reasons or purposes, like especially if it's my stream, because people could actually clip stuff out of my stream, show it on theirs, and react to it, and that does fall under Title 17 of the U.S. Code, which talks about what's fair use. However, with the music, it's really hard to show any music of any amount or duration, because that's how record companies make money, is by making sure that people are either paying for a license to play that, or they're listening to it on their own and they bought themselves a copy of it. And so if any of anyone's music is played anywhere, it's usually a little bit of a big deal if you don't pay for the licensing rights to it. And it's also a much bigger deal on YouTube, because YouTube has an automated machine where someone can go through and input, like let's say More Than a Feeling by whoever the band was that played that song. I can't think of it right now. Let's say they get on YouTube and they're like, More Than a Feeling, and they go into the content ID machine. We want More Than a Feeling to be content ID'd whenever it's played on anyone's videos. Click enter, and then the machine will go through, and if it hears 8 seconds of a song that is in the content ID machine, it will copyright ID that. It will also notify them that a video played a certain portion of their song, and if they wanted to, they could take further action. They could formally request for you to take that down, or they could file a legal copyright strike against you, which is where YouTube takes action under the guise of legal action taking place if they don't, and they'll apply a copyright strike to your channel and take it down. And for the most part, Boston. Okay, it's Boston Aaron. All right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know bands that well. Y'all are like giving me hell for that. Anyways, moving on from that, it is the main reason that we don't really play music a lot, because we can get had for anything. And if there's good proof for that, it's a mini-mall. A mini-mall. come on down to the mini mall. That was put into the content ID system, and while that was made in like the 90s, it was still content ID'd, and we got copyright ID'd for that. So that's why we're always very careful with playing music, because we could get in a decent amount of trouble if we keep on doing that, and then one of these people who actually owns the copyright to this music comes through and gives us a copyright strike. And also, I know that someone's going to say, well, I watch streamer A, B, C, and D, and they play like music, and they never get in trouble for it. You don't really know, because a lot of these people run ads, so you really can't tell the difference in between a copyrighted stream and a non-copyrighted stream with these people, because either they're running the ads or someone else is running the ads. You don't really know. And another thing, if you ever see anyone, and this is something I've seen a little, and something that's like riding a fine line doing this, if you see someone that's like playing a clip from like Sky News or BBC or CNN or anything in particular, and they're really not providing commentary, they're just sitting there watching it with you for like 7 minutes, that doesn't really fall under Title 17 of fair use. That's just straight up copyright infringement, because they're using someone else's original content as their own and just showing it in its entirety. You have to react to it in a certain way, and that's why I also add a lot of commentary into a lot of the clips we watch. Like, I'll give a play-by-play and stuff like that, because even if it is copyrighted, at that point, it's falling under Title 17, because we're using it for commentary purposes and news reporting, which both of those things are protected under fair use. So that's why, just in case you're wondering, and y'all are seeing me talk a lot through some of these clips, it's because it's ensuring that it'll be fair use in the future. If I ever have to argue it, it is fair use, because I'm using it to commentate and for news reporting. So with that, I hope that answers the question fairly well. It doesn't really have a lot to do with the law. It has a lot more to do with how YouTube interprets it, so that way they don't get in legal trouble, which is a whole other thing. But with that, I hope that does answer the question fairly well. And thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running. And so with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support.
Yes, indeed. And up next, we have a $20 super chat from Santiago Flores, who says, are the Russians trying to bleed the Ukrainians like the Germans did to the French at Verdun?
Are the Ukrainians trying to bleed the Russians like the Germans did at Verdun? Did I hear that correct?
Oh, what? Are the Russians trying to bleed the Ukrainians?
I think, perhaps. But at the same instance, they're taking a lot more casualties than the Ukrainians, so it's really more so the Ukrainians are bleeding on the Russians in the end, but I can't see the similarities. Historically, it is somewhat similar. The Battle of Verdun was awful. It was the worst battle, really, of the war. I would say next to the battles of well, really all of them were terrible. You can't even quantify the horrors of each one. They were each terrible in their own extent, but I would say that the Battle of Verdun was very similar in some ways to what we're seeing right now around the Battle of Bakhmut. It's a straight-up stalemate. Both sides are just throwing in loads. Verdun, 1917, not 1940. Yeah, we're talking about 1917. We're talking about not the one in 1940. That one was way too short. The Battle of Verdun in World War I is the one that everyone knows. But moving on from that and getting back to this, it's similar in some ways, but not so much in the case, because the Germans, whenever they conducted an offensive, were trying to end the war, because they knew that there was a ticking time bomb, and they had to either end the thing or they were going to lose. And so every once in a while they would try and conduct a push, and one of those pushes was around Verdun, because it had a massive amount of fortresses around it, and if they took it, the French lose a vital part of their front line, and then the way may be open to go to Paris, but that never really panned out. That's not really the case with Bakhmut, because if they take Bakhmut, rather than the terrain around it being somewhat defensible, it's not really that big of a deal. Kramatorsk and Slovyansk would be more similar in strategic importance to Verdun than Bakhmut would be, and so I really feel like this is a Russian attempt at trying to gain some kind of late war victory that may help them out in the way in the future, but beyond that, I don't really see it being exactly similar to Verdun, but it does share many similarities in the grueling nature and the horrifying reality of what the battle is really occurring like on the ground. And so with that, I thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that did address the comment fairly well, and thank you so much for helping this channel to keep on running. It's you, the viewers, who help this thing to keep going. Y'all support us each and every day and help this thing to stay alive, help us to pay the bills in the background, and help us to focus on this thing full time. And I got to thank y'all all so much for that. And so with that, let's get to the final question to the segment before we get to the typical fear-mongering and show why it's fear-mongering.
All right, so the last one of this segment goes to BC Skyman, who puts in a $20 donation and says, have you heard that Ukraine will receive long-range missiles from the UK? Thank you, enforcers, for your perseverance and the war coverage, and Slava Ukraine.
And
thank you, BC.
And thank you so much, BC Skyman, for the perseverance in supporting us and watching us as well, because I love to know that people have been watching us for so long. And you've been around forever. I think you've been around since day 4 or even the day before that. So, I mean, like, you are a trooper. If there ever was one, you are our trooper. To answer that question, I have not heard about the British sending the long-range missiles. They have sent a lot of missiles that are domestically made, like the Starstreak missile along with the Brimstone, but I haven't heard of any longer range missiles that were being sent. However, they did send the Harpoons, and if you're talking about those, we did hear about them, but we haven't heard about any right now. So let's check that out. British Ukraine news. Royal Marines deployed in covert operations in Ukraine.
What?
What?
That seems like big news. Huh.
Hang on. Wait.
Are they actually troops on the ground?
Well, we got to read this. Also, what the hell was that ad? Anyways, Britain's renowned Royal Marines have taken part in covert operations in Ukraine, a senior general has admitted for the first time, adding that their missions carried a high level of political and military risk. Who's the senior general, though? Oh, wait a minute, it just tells us right here. Lieutenant General Robert Magawan said British commandos supported discrete operations in a hugely sensitive environment, with one mission entailing 350 Marines from a 45 commando group being deployed at short notice to evacuate the British embassy in Kyiv at the beginning of Russia's invasion. Okay, so the article made it sound like they were involved in some thick stuff, but really they were just getting the embassy out of there. Yeah, clickbait. That's clickbait max. So let's go back real quick. So it seems, according to Reuters a day ago, that they were open-minded sending longer-range weapons. Let me read Reuters. Reuters isn't really that clickbaity, so let's see what kind of weapons they were considering sending. Let's see. We too have armor. Using kamikaze drones, which they have. Let's see here. It doesn't really go into any detail. So beyond that, beyond the Reuters article, we haven't seen them sending the long-range missiles yet, and it appears that we don't really know what kind yet either, sadly, BC Skyman. But we will make sure to keep apprised of that and try and find that if we can. And also, I'm sorry, everyone, because that title was so clickbaity, you almost swore that it meant that there were British Marines, Royal Marines, that were actually fighting on the front line as a unit, or actually fighting the Russians directly. I'm sorry for that, and that's why clickbait is something else. It's really something, and I'm glad we do not clickbait like that on this channel, because that right there was just scummy, the level that clickbaited. Literally going and sitting there and saying, oh, they evacuated the embassy. Duh, yeah, of course military forces are going to be used in that. Like, where else would they be? Anyways, I hope that answers the question fairly well, BC Skyman, and thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep alive. You've helped out massively, and I thank everyone who does that, because we only exist through y'all's support, and thanks to how we run this channel, ad-free of course. Many of y'all may have noticed if it's your first time that if you click on this stream, there's no ads running, you just get straight to the stream, and that's because we don't run ads, and we rely on viewer support to run this. And so if you enjoy this channel, if you want to support it to help it keep running, you actually get to decide how much it's worth to you. So, of course, thank you everyone so much once again for supporting, and with that, we're now going to be moving on to the fear-mongering, which will be a CNN clip, of course, because, you know, American news, it's not particularly CNN, but American news at large is just, it's really something special, you know, the level that they fearmonger. And I will pull up something, you'll see this, because this isn't the first time that they peddled this story. So real quick, we're going to pull this up. Of course, I'm going to have to commentate through it due to Title 17, but here's the video.
Will Ripley begins our coverage out front live in Kyiv tonight. And Will, there are a lot of things happening. You traveled north to Ukraine's border with Belarus, where Russia is once again assembling troops tonight. What did you...
Oh, no. I'm going to stop it right here because you don't even have to see the rest of it. You already get the picture. Oh, my God, they're building up military troops in Belarus. They're going to invade through the north, and they're going to take Kyiv. The typical crap. Let me go pull this up. Belarus invade Ukraine news. All right, so... will Belarus join Russia's invasion of Ukraine? That was put out by DW News on March 22nd of 2022. Another one was put out on October 11th of 2022 by WION. 11 hours ago, CNN made a little video clip about it, which we kind of watched right there. Let me try and go back in time a little bit. To October 25th, the BBC reported that, oh no, they're going to invade again. Over and over and over. I can't even tell y'all enough. There's proof of it. You can literally go back and look at all the timestamps on this stuff. And let me scroll down a little bit more because I'm going to try and find y'all an older article to prove this. This happens on a monthly basis, that the news has to try and draw up people to get interested in this war somehow. And in some way, like, look, April 21st, wait a minute, what? Okay, that's something from Newsweek. Sorry, that one's not real. October 12th, September 14th. Now the story was a little bit different back then, but you'll see that other news channels at that time were talking about they were going to get involved in the war. Every major news organization out there, and a lot of streamers, as a matter of fact, try and get involved in spinning this story to get people involved, and it's almost monthly. I bet you can go through, because we actually covered this at the beginning of the war, like in the first 3 months of the war, we actually thought that the Belarusians might invade because it looked possible, but once you cry wolf 3 times, you can't cry wolf any longer. It's just full of crap. Like right there. March 11th, they're talking about Belarus could launch an invasion of Ukraine from the Telegraph. From U.S. News on March 11th, they're going to invade. Over and over and over. It's never ended since the beginning of the war, literally every month. Russia's needs troops for disposal behind push to bring Belarus border, and Moscow refitted its troops there after failing in July. They were supposed to invade again. That one was actually put out by Fox. And I hope y'all all see this. Don't fall for this crap. This is just rehashed bullcrap every single month that the Belarusians are going to invade. And you would honestly think, and honestly I don't have a high regard for any U.S. news or really any mainstream news outlets, regardless of whatever side they're taking or whatever spin they're going for, they all come up with lies like this. And I don't know how some people are fooled by it, because they do this monthly, and it's just a see-through thing. You can even go through Google, like I just did, and see that it comes out almost monthly from every single news organization, because they want views. They want more ad revenue. They want all of that stuff. And they keep on doing it, and people keep on tuning in and watching. If people stop tuning in and watching to this bullcrap, maybe the news, like these larger organizations, like CNN, and it's not just CNN, it's also Fox, you just saw that, maybe if people stop tuning in, maybe they go back to honest, truthful reporting and news, so that way people actually would watch. But with that, we're not going to cover that for long. It's just something that still irks me that I saw this today while roaming around for my news. And so now it's time to move into the proper location unknowns and check them out. And starting off with a really cool clip of a cat on the actual front line. I can't play a lot of this audio because well, actually, I'm sorry. This is actually a different clip. A different picture, actually. There were 2 cats that I saw on the front line today. This one's actually hanging out at a trench with a Ukrainian soldier. And what's really weird is that this is a very odd looking stock. I don't know if that was homemade or a special kind of stock for this AK, but still, it's really interesting to see and really, really weird. But still, the stock works. If the stock works, it works. And also, this guy has got, it looks like an extended mag. It looks like it may be like a 40-round magazine. So this guy's got a pretty interesting AK, and he's hanging out with his little friend. A pretty cute looking cat, too. And so with that, I think well, what am I thinking? I'm sitting here getting confused because real quick, in case y'all don't know, Matthew's away from the keyboard, and that's kind of throwing me off for a second, but he'll be back in a minute. Anyways, it's really neat to see that this guy's hanging out with this little cat, and it looks like he's got himself...
The show just can't go on without Matt.
Yeah, because you sent that, and like it's sitting there and is like preoccupying my mind. I'm like, you know, I don't really have anyone to bounce anything off of for a second. But moving on from that, we're now going to be moving into the next clip of Location Unknown News, where we can see a Ukrainian soldier taking a little bit of time to feed a mouse. And this was cute. When you see that he's feeding it a Nilla wafer. It's the perfect snack for a mouse.
Так, а є якийсь варіант її натягати, щоб вона зранку приносилась тільки на Айпес?
And with that, that's the end of the video. But I like to see, look at that little thing. That little thing's just going to town down there, just snacking on the Nilla wafer. Like, that's just a cute little thing. And also, it's very interesting to see that they're taking care of the mice, because usually mice and rats become the bane of existence in trenches and areas around a front line. Yet here we can actually see that they're taking care. The Ukrainian soldiers are so nice that they're actually taking care of what is a pest, pretty much, and feeding it a Nilla wafer, which is really cute. And also, it's a cute little mouse. And so with that, we're now going to be moving on into the next bit of Location Unknown News, where we can also see the Russians are doing so badly that the Ukrainians have captured Sudanese ammo on the front lines. Sudanese. You don't know where that is? Down here.
Sudan.
It's Sudan, and they actually split in two. Now there's South Sudan. That happened in like 2013, but Sudan, like that's the last place you expect someone to have to go buy arms from. But that's how badly the Russians are doing, and it was deleted. So now I can't show it to you all, sadly. But it was here. So, anyways, yeah, Saddam. Saddam.
Damn.
Saddam. Saddam, son, where'd you find this? Anyways, what's interesting to me about it is that instead of getting it from the Sugandese, they got it from the Sudanese, which was really interesting to me because usually the Sugandese are known for providing arms at lower prices and a lot of a larger volume. So
who?
The Sugandese.
You said who?
The Sugandese.
Oh my!
You actually fell for it, man. You fell for it.
I was looking around the map for Sugan. I was like, "Where's Sugan at? I don't see it."
Oh man. Anyways,
Sugandese.
Wait, no, don't say it. Don't say it. People already know what it is, but I don't want to say that because it's a little creepy.
No, I was talking about the place.
Oh, I mean, let's see. I'm waiting for someone to see. I think some people actually. Oh yeah, people have heard it. They're joking about it in the live chat. Oh man. But anyways, it was just some pictures of mortar crates, and they were from Sudan. So with that, we're now going to be moving on from that little bit of location unknown news, and now time to the actual attraction. The losses. The losses were incredible today. 740 soldiers killed on the estimate. We don't know how many wounded that will also entail, but we do know that 7 armored personnel carriers were knocked out, 13 supply trucks, 4 tanks, and 1 special equipment vehicle were also knocked out as well. It's wild to think that while the Russians have been able to mitigate their vehicular losses for the most part, the troop losses are still profound, unbelievable actually. Something that is really hard to even comprehend, that 96,000 troops have been killed total now in this war, and we will see them losing 100,000 soldiers before Christmas. Killed, according to the estimates. And so with that, we're now going to be moving on from the location unknowns and back to the front lines to cover the remainder of the news that we have, which isn't much, and I also noticed that we're starting to run way behind schedule. It's 10:33 local time, and we are usually getting to the speech from Zelenskyy around 10:40. So I need to make sure to pick this up a little bit. So we're going to be skipping this one because this one's a little bit dark, and also I had some questions as to whether this should be considered NSFW as well. It kind of is because it shows Ukrainian bodies being exhumed from unmarked graves and given proper burials. So we're not going to be including this one, but if you do want to watch it, the link is in the description below, and you can see how the Ukrainians are making sure to provide full honors to the ones that have been killed by the Russians and have, of course, given the ultimate, I guess you could say the ultimate service, the ultimate duty to their country before they were killed. And so with that, we're now going to be moving on into the northeast, where we saw a very rare sight, a Ukrainian Sturm S, that really cool anti-tank guided missile system we saw earlier in the war, is now stalking its prey in the northeast and waiting for the unsuspecting Russian to pass by. You can see right here that they're closing the hatch on top of the Sturm, and it's lying in wait. Now you see it popping back open. Now you see the arm coming down and grabbing the Sturm. It's closing again.
That is so cool.
It's really neat, isn't it? It's a very simple system, but very cool to see. And now it lies in wait on a hilltop overlooking miles of ground, so this thing is in a very good position. Moving on from that and into our next clip of news, further south near the Svatove area, we also saw the Azov in operation in the northern area as well. I gotta mute it because Azov loves music. You see them driving. Some of them have their headlights on. They're now passing through a somewhat derelict town. Now see them walking through the fields in the sunset, showing us some of the mud. That's not even that bad, really. That was not that bad of mud. We now see a position that they're in. Deep trenches, about 7-8 feet deep. A T-72B passing by in front of them. Now we can see them firing a 50 caliber machine gun.
He knows how to use it.
Oh yeah, it's a machine gun. That man never let go. He just held that thing down and went off with it. Also, that guy's got a nice scope. And so that's the end of the video, but that's the Azov in the northern area around Svatove doing what they do best, which is taking out the Russians. Moving on into the next clip of news, we could also see some Ukrainians in the cold winter area eating a bowl. A huge steaming bowl of stew. Y'all thought I was going to say something different. Y'all thought I was going to say shit. But anyways, here's the video. You know, Matthew, that kind of looks like that tomato, like, beef stew that Mama makes, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Just like Mama used to make.
Just like Mother used to make. And by the way, my mom, who is probably right outside of my door listening to the stream, and she's probably going to click on it to see the soup in a minute, cooks a mean soup. Really good stuff. And also delicious dinner rolls. If you ever want a good dinner roll, let my mom cook you a dinner roll. That thing is killer. Anyways, just going to let them ladle up the soup a little bit more.
It does look a little watery.
It does, but it still is full. I mean, it's chock-a full of, like, meat and everything else. And also everyone's going to be like, oh, he gets cooked from his mom. My mom cooks good food. If you knew what kind of food she cooked, you'd eat it too. And so with that, we're now going to be moving out of the northeast and further south into the Verkno-Kamyanka area, where we saw something beautiful today. Something absolutely wonderful. The Ukrainians were able to destroy a T-90M. Once again, remember, the T-90M is Russia's best tank on the field with a Stukna. Oh my god, I can't believe it happened today. Again, I think this is about the 5th one that has either been captured or destroyed, and this one was killed by a simple Stukna. See the T-90M right out there? And it's about to be given the juice. Dang! Oh my god! Base boosted! Let's see. I'm gonna make you pump like that. Boom, boom, boom. Anyways, when you see the Stukna on its way after bursting our eardrums. And it had to be...
Kids won't quit bumping that rap music in their Stukna.
My neighbors are always listening to loud drum and bass. And they won't ever quit. And then he starts playing the loud drum and bass. You know the Irish guy I'm talking about?
I think so.
Wait, hang on. I gotta pull that up. One second. YouTube. I know it's on YouTube. Let's see here. My neighbors won't stop listening to loud drum and bass. Oh, I gotta show this to y'all. Oh yeah, I found it. And the man looks like a freaking priest. So here's the video. Wait a minute, it's muted! Dang it! 1 second, let me refresh the page.
My neighbours are always listening to really loud drum and bass, whether they like it or not.
The hell? I've never seen that one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of when I heard that noise. Anyways, let's get to the video of the T-90M being destroyed. We see the Stukna on its way, and come on, we gotta hear the yeast. Come on, yeast. Wow, they're really quiet to have just destroyed a T-90M.
Are they getting accustomed to success?
There's like another one bites the dust.
Another one.
Танк дымится. Засняли, как он дымится. Все, снимаемся, уходим.
Oh, it seems like they're going to double tap it. Or they're just watching it. It seems as though it's disabled now. Dang, another base boosted launch. My neighbors are always listening to loud drum and bass. Also, someone told me he was from Northern England, not Ireland. It's still on the way. It's traveling. And we're about to see it get double tap, so that way they make sure it's out. And its second hit. These guys have got to be the most demure Stukna group I've ever seen. For hitting one of Russia's rarest frontline tanks, there was no hype whatsoever. But hey, They still got the thing, regardless of whether they're hyped or not. They got Russia's best tank on the field again for the 5th time. With that, we're now moving out of the Verkno-Kamyanka area, and we're going to be moving a little bit further south and into Donetsk. Of course, we've already covered the Bakhmut area earlier in stream. But in the Avdiivka area, we saw that a Ukrainian soldier is as strong as a bear. He may even be turning into one. Y'all are going to like this. Oh, man. He's dancing to music. I can't play the music, but this man's got moves. Not only that, but he's literally a bear. Oh, wait a minute.
What's on the top of it?
What?
What's on the top of the bear's head?
A bird stain? I don't know. Also, Matthew, 1 second. Let me go back.
The Ukrainians changed their appearance in spawning season. They partake in a large head and they begin the mating dance, looking for a suitable mate. We can see here that he is trying to show the performance that he should have.
Oh, yeah.
If trying to produce offspring.
I thought the Russians were the bear, though.
They are.
What's going on here?
I don't know. That's the end of the video. And I gotta say, that's hilarious, and this guy's got a great sense of humor. Once again, the Ukrainians have nothing but a high morale brimming right out of their bodies. With that, we're now going to be moving a little bit further south in the Avdiivka area towards Marinka, where we saw a Russian tank in action here, and it also lets you get a good look at what Marinka has now turned into. Let me try and get the graphic. It's only in 360. I'm sorry, y'all. We're going to be watching this in 360p because the Russians don't have anything better. We can hear some rifle fire. This town has been gone for months. Watch this tank have just fired like 5 rounds into a Russian position. Now you see that the tank is backing up out of the area. Oh, the tank got stuck. Ah! Oh, that's nice to see. And that's the end of the video, but once again, you can see the damage and devastation that's been brought to Marinka by the Russians, and of course, a good sign, in a way, that the Ukrainians are holding this town and have not given up an inch for it to turn into what it is now. With that, we're now going to be moving on from that little clip in the Donetsk area, and once again, the front line, rather than the occasional, well, the normal blood bowls that are occurring pretty much in the area, the front line remains stable. Moving all the way down the Zaporizhia front line, where nothing has occurred once again, we saw that a prisoner exchange had occurred, and the Ukrainians got back 64 of their soldiers who had fought in Donetsk and Luhansk, and had ended up as prisoners of war. And so, here's the video of them returning to where they belong, which is Ukraine.
Хлопці з поверненням, слава Україні! Героям слава! Слава Україні! Героям слава! Слава Україні! Героям слава!
This is the loyalty test. He's like, should they come back? Slava Ukraini. Hurrah, Slava! Anyway, so that's the end of the video. And it's good to see that 64 prisoners were returned. Meanwhile, moving on down into Kherson, we have 2 clips to show from the liberated city that's been here for quite a while now and will be around to stay. First off, of course, life is not a cakewalk in Kherson either, and considering that a lot of their infrastructure was knocked out, they've been having some struggles in this area. And so here's a video, of course brought to you by Radio Free Europe, that explains in pretty good detail the struggles that average citizens are facing in the city of Kherson. And we'll turn that up a little bit.
Взрывом выбило в окна.
Попало біля вас, так?
Нет, попало там, а волной выбило. Тепло, свет есть, вода есть.
Oh, this guy's got electricity and running the water.
Ну, не было, потом дали
good.
воду.
Тривають обстріли, все як звичайно. Гуманітарну допомогу нам завозять регулярно, зараз трохи це впорядкувалося, вже трошки легше її отримати. Більш актуальна на зараз проблема в Херсоні. В нас не вистачає, після обстрілів часто у людей вилітають вікна і проблема з плівкою, з тим, щоб це зробити, закрити вікна, затулити фанера. Ну, таке було б навіть більш, я гадаю, необхідне, ніж їжа зараз.
Меньше товаров пока на данный момент.
Oh, hey, wait a minute, did you... Oh, wait a minute, hang on. There's actual meat all the way down this aisle. And you can see people grabbing, like, cheeses and stuff out of that one over there. So this supermarket is completely stocked right now. And you can see that in the last clip as well, which is very important to note. Like, fresh produce over there, the whole counter's full. That one is as well. Fresh fruits here. Jarred, I guess you could say, well, pickled fruits and vegetables here. So this is actually a stocked supermarket. In fact, the stocks are overflowing into the actual aisles. So it's good to know that this isn't, you know, like the Russians would do, a quick little thing where it's like, oh, look, everyone's okay. This is an actual fully stocked supermarket, and also looks like they're going to have a hard time keeping it that way because there's so many people in here.
Меньше товаров пока на данный момент. Ну, дышится легче, вы понимаете. Прежде всего, это свобода. Вот вы здесь не были, я не знаю, наверное, когда была оккупация. Мы здесь пережили всю оккупацию. Мы как задушенные изнутри были, понимаете? Мы не могли ничего. Вот идешь, как будто у тебя свет внутри выключили.
У нас десь 28 днів не було світла. От генераторів не вистачає. Добре, що бензин є на заправках. А так, води немає. Уже месяц.
Я ищу лекарства бабушке, не мог у них где найти. Нужно им в село отвезти, а как найти его, без понятия даже. Шукала, ніде нема.
Всі закриті. Ну, ось одна тільки в центрі працює. По Ушакова не одна не працює.
А тут завжди так багато людей?
Звісно, хворіють завжди.
Well, that's the end of the video, but right there you get a good idea that while things are on the up and up in Kherson, it's still a long battle that the Ukrainians are going to have to fight to try and bring that city back up to speed. And while they have gotten some supermarkets open and fully stocked, there is still more to stock. There are still more pharmacies to open and more businesses to return, so that way life can eventually return to normal and these citizens can get all the things they need at the times they need it. And so with that, We're now going to be moving on to a very short clip that we got today where we saw that the Russians have directly hit the administrative building in the city center. We're not really sure with what, whether it was a missile, an artillery shell, or whatever, but it did hit directly on top of the building, and so here's the video. And of course, while the Ukrainians are still making sure to try and help out in Kherson as best they can, and they're still improving the quality of life of things, the city does come under occasional direct fire, and hopefully they can still battle against that and potentially stop that in the future. With that, we have covered every single bit of news that we have inside. Actually, I'm sorry, correction, we have not. I just noticed when we zoomed out, and that's why I always zoom out at the end to make sure that we're not missing anything. In Belgium, they actually, well, in Belgium, where the headquarters of the European Union is, in Brussels, they actually held a poll today amongst all European Union members to see how high war support was in every country that was a member. And it was actually very interesting to see. Overall, 74% of respondents approved of supporting the war in Ukraine against Russia, and we actually got a breakdown of who was where nationally. We could see that the Swedish and the Finnish, obviously, are the highest in terms of war support for Ukraine, and considering that they're getting in NATO, I think you get the idea why. The Netherlands was also way up there, along with Denmark, Portugal, Ireland, and also Lithuania. All of these countries being above 87% and all the way up to 97%. Malta, Poland, Spain, Latvia, Luxembourg, France, and Estonia were in between 76 to 85%. You would see that a large bulk of the major European countries like France and Spain, as well as Poland, which making a large bulk of their population, were within this bracket, which probably made the results up towards 74%. Then in our lower bracket, you had Belgium, Croatia, which for some reason is abbreviated as HR, which does not stand for Croatia. The European Union as a whole, which is 74%. You see that the European Union's average was at 74%. Germany, interestingly enough, fell at 73%, which for one of the larger and more populous countries in the European Union, it actually ended up being one of the lowest in terms of war support, but almost right on the dead on average. It appears that Slovakia and the Czech Republic were actually around 69 and 68%, almost equal. Well, why in the world did they ever even split? Italy was around 63%, one of the lower amounts of support for one of the major countries. In fact, I believe that is the lowest. Austria was at 60%, and I kind of find that weird because I always thought that the Austrians were the ones who were always wanting to go to war. I mean, maybe it was just me, Matthew, but I feel like the Austrians have a lot more to do with some of the major wars in the world than most people like to think, you know? Usually they're...
the Austrians?
Yeah, you know, they always produce some very interesting mustached people who always get involved in big world wars, but I don't know, for some reason this time they're just not really into it.
Also, they produced the governor of California.
But anyways, moving on. Romania was at 60%. Hungary was at 59%. I found this to be shocking, because everyone always hears that Hungary is not really that big into the war in Ukraine. But 59% of their population, the majority, by about a 19%, or really more like a 20% margin, supported the war. Cyprus was one of the lower ones at 53%. Slovakia was actually really low. Wait, hang on. I'm sorry, I think I misread something further up the graph. This is Slovenia. I'm sorry, this is Slovenia, which is 69%, and the Czech Republic is 68%. This is Slovakia at 49%. So you can actually see that the difference in between the Czech Republic and Slovakia is a lot larger. Greece, which has an abbreviation of EL, which is also weird, has a war support of 48%. So the large majority of the population in Greece seems to be indifferent to the war or supportive of it. And then in Bulgaria, we had the lowest percentage of turnout in support of the war at 48%. But by and large, most countries in the European Union and the larger majority of the population as a whole supporting the war in Ukraine, which is, of course, good to see. And so now that we've gone over that poll and broken down the numbers, it's now time for us to move on to Kyiv and listen to that speech from President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. And so without further ado, here is the President of Ukraine.
Бажаю здоров'я, шановні українці.
Very quiet.
Передусім я хочу подякувати нашим зенітникам і повітряним силам за відбиття атаки іранськими дронами. Небо Київщини обороняє 96-та зенітна ракетна бригада повітряних сил. Я дякую вам, хлопці. Загалом було збито 13 шахедів, це 13 врятованих об'єктів інфраструктури, це врятовані життя за один ранок. Провів сьогодні засідання Ставки, говорили, зокрема, і про захист неба. Постійно посилюємо нашу протиповітряну і протидронну оборону. І робимо все, щоб отримати для України більш сучасні та більш потужні системи. За цей тиждень ми маємо важливий прогрес в питанні щодо ППО. Звичайно, дуже детально обговорили на Ставці ситуацію на Донбасі і на інших активних напрямках на передовій. Спокою на передовій немає, нічого легкого і простого немає. Кожен день і кожен метр даються надзвичайно тяжко. І особливо там, де уся тактика окупантів зводиться до знищення артилерії усього перед собою, щоб залишилось тільки голі руїни і воронки в землі. Сьогодні, до речі, говорив про це у зверненні до Європейського парламенту. Росія знищує на Донбасі місто за містом, як Маріуполь, як Волноваху, як Бахмут. Оборонятися в таких умовах – це не просто героїзм, це щось більше. Я дякую усім нашим воїнам, які витримують тиск окупантів. Хочу зараз відзначити бійців 46-ї окремої аеромобільної бригади, які дуже майстерно і дуже хоробро розбили ворога під час чергової атаки і змусили його відступити. Молодці. Хочу також відзначити бійців 80-ї і 95-ї окремої десантно-штурмових бригад, які воюють на Кременському напрямку і дуже результативно. Я дякую вам, воїни. Готуємо домовленості, які посилять наші оборонні спроможності і дадуть більше оперативних можливостей Україні. Також не зменшуємо нашу активність заради створення спеціального трибуналу щодо російської агресії і притягнення усіх винних в ній до справедливої відповідальності. Сьогодні закликав наших друзів в Європі і членів Європарламенту збільшити зусилля, щоб трибунал зрештою запрацював. Держава-терорист має відповідати за кожне спалене українське місто, за кожне зруйноване життя наших людей. І буде відповідати. Говорив сьогодні з очільником Міжнародного олімпійського комітету Бахом. Зокрема, про те, що принципи олімпійського руху точно не включають у себе потурання державам-терористам. Будь-які ідеї, як повернути російських представників на міжнародні змагання, це ідея про те, як дозволити тим, хто винен у терорі, сказати своєму суспільству, що світ нібито пробачає терор. Це спортивна індульгенція. Саме так це і буде подаватися російською пропагандою, якщо Міжнародний олімпійський комітет схибить і дозволить тим, хто представляє війну і нічого більше, брати участь в спортивних подіях на рівні з іншими. Я не хочу розбиратися, чи стоять за такими ідеями про повернення Росії якісь мотиви, але ніхто не стане заплющувати очі на будь-які спроби зменшити міжнародний тиск на джерело війни. Коли отримуємо такі повідомлення, як сьогодні з Херсону, де від чергового російського обстрілу загинула дитина, хлопчик, 8 років. Йому було, можна сказати, лише одне – білий або будь-який там нейтральний прапор для російських спортсменів неможливий. Всі їхні прапори в плямах крові. Провів сьогодні і дуже важливі переговори з генеральним секретарем ООН Гутєрішем. Подякував йому за незмінну підтримку України та міжнародного права, за дієву допомогу в реалізації наших ініціатив, таких як зерно з України. Працюємо зараз над тим, щоб організувати місії з міжнародним мандатом на об'єкти критичної енергетичної інфраструктури нашої держави. Вірю, що і це може бути успішним. Ще одне. Сьогодні 64 українця були повернуті з російського полону. 64 воїни, 4 офіцерів, 60 рядових та сержантів. Серед них є важко поранені. Усім надаємо належну допомогу, працюємо далі, щоб звільнити і повернути додому кожного українця і кожну українку, які ще утримуються в Росії. Я дякую нашій команді, яка забезпечує проведення обмінів. Я дякую всім, хто працює заради українців і України. Слава усім, хто воює за нашу державу. Слава усім, хто наповнює своєю сміливістю і результативністю слово, яке звучить зараз по всьому світу. Слово Україна. І хочу окремо подякувати сьогодні Пласту, нашим українським скаутам, гайдам за віфлеємський вогонь миру, який вони привезли в Україну. Хай це світло підтримує усіх нас, усіх українців. Слава Україні!
Or that.
Hey, shout out to Plast.
And shout out to Plast. And of course, that is the end of the speech from President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. And that also wraps up our day 295 news segment as well. And so, if you were here for the news alone, that segment is now over. But if you enjoyed it and you are new to this channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe because we run this news every single day of the week at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, except for Mondays. So if you're ever wondering what's going on day by day in the war in Ukraine, this is your channel, except for Mondays. We don't run Mondays, but we run every other day of the week. And so with that, we're now going to be moving into the question segment where we're going to be answering all of the super chats that have come in tonight, and also all of the live chats as well. And so with that, let's do the complete opposite of what I just said, and let's get into the poll. So what do we got, Matthew?
All right. So our two polls we have now. The first one says, should Ukraine fire weapons into the Russian mainland more frequently, i.e. Moscow, etc.? 77% said yes, do not hesitate. 9% said not sure. 5% said no, that would have bad consequences. And 8% said no, keep the fight within Ukraine. Now, me personally, I think that Ukraine should keep the fight within their borders because, honestly, what would be the point of attacking mainland Russia? Because Ukraine's not looking to take any land there. Also, they're likely to, stir the situation up worse than it already is. So I would say stay focused within Ukraine. But Enforcer, what say you?
Also, good night, Ronald Schmidt and DL Hemingway. It's been fun having you all on. And in answering that question, are you talking about directly attacking, like with a land force into Russia, or attacking with missiles and similar objects?
Weapons like missiles and things like that. No, like invasion force or anything, like with ground troops.
I would say that it's that's beneficial for sure, because if you allow the Russians leeway to travel around inside their own country, set up logistical bases there and so on, it's allowing them a little bit of an advantage. And if you're able to strike into there and hit air bases like at Ryazan and Saratov and knock out strategic bombers, maybe even frontline bombers like Su-34s before they can even take to the skies, that is definitely helping the war inside of Ukraine and helping to, I guess you could say, keep it in Ukraine's advantage. At least that's how I'm looking at it. Also, girls4.xyz. Interesting. We're gonna execute that one. Spam it.
Oh, I think we deleted each other out there for a second.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no, we actually double banned it. It says that it was a double banned. Oh, holy moly. Anyways.
Cambot equal 3.
Anyways, that's what I think about that. Do you have anything to add to that or anything to counter to it?
So nothing to add to that one. So with that being said, we're moving on to our next poll, which says, it's actually still running. I was looking for my pictures there. But anyways, this question says, if Ukraine had an opportunity to hit a mainland Russian nuclear power plant, should they do it? Surprisingly, 18% said yes, it would cripple Russia, and it certainly would. 8% said not sure, maybe, and 74% said no, absolutely not. Now, for me, I'm definitely going to say absolutely not, because for one thing, that can spread beyond Russia. The radiation can. It can have effects that last, I believe, a few hundred years into the future. And also, it's going to affect the civilians, which are not a part of the war in Russia. And I'm personally not in favor of that. But Enforcer, what say you?
I was already answering it while you were answering it. Hell no. You never want to hit anything involved with a nuclear reactor, even trying to hinder or weaken someone, because that is pretty much nuclear warfare right there in an indirect way. And I would consider it very hypocritical for us to say that the Russians shouldn't strike the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant and then advocate to strike Russian nuclear power plants on the same token. It would be pretty backwards to do that, and on top of that, it would potentially be killing or harming, giving cancer to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. It could irradiate vital supplies of water. It's not necessarily anything I would go for. So I would definitely have to say certainly not. And so with that, I hope that addressed that poll fairly well, and we are on to the next one.
Right, and that was our last poll for the last segment. So with that being said, we are moving on to our super chats once more, and the first one is going to go to Tangen, who puts in a $51 donation, but
legend.
Tangen does not leave a comment. Can you believe that?
What? Tangen, you know that we love to respond to comments. I gotta say this. I know that y'all support this channel and y'all find the channel being here worthwhile. But I gotta say this. I've said it before. I've said it many times before. Stop saying it recently. I hate when y'all don't throw in comments because I feel like I owe y'all something more than just a stream for y'all's support. What am I saying? Support. Support. Why do you hunt the deer? It's so sport. But anyways. Anyways, moving on from that. I gotta say, I always feel like I owe y'all a lot more than just a stream for y'all support. I feel like I owe y'all some kind of a question or a live chat or something similar. I know that Tangen didn't ask for it, Matthew, but in honor of Tangen's support, which he's been around forever and helping this channel to keep on running, I feel like it is deserving to answer a live chat in honor of that support without a comment. So can we get one?
All right, so the honorary question in sponsorship of Tangen, a longtime channel viewer, goes to Portstan, who says, Enforcer, when Ukraine gets long-range missiles, will they go after the power plants in Moscow?
I think that they may. That would be something... Well, I don't know, because they haven't really directly attacked anyone's power infrastructure inside of Russia, except for Belgorod's. That's been the only exception. They continuously attack their infrastructure, but they don't want to attack any other city's infrastructure. So I'm not sure if they would do it with Moscow. I think they would to try and send a message once, and if the Russians tried to commit a reprisal, then they may start doing it continuously. But that would be... That's an interesting question. I'm kind of on the fence on that one, to be honest with you. It's a bit of a half and half, because I could see them doing it for some reasons, I can see them doing it not for others, but I'm honestly going to have to tell you, that's a great question. I'm going to have to end up being mixed on that one and saying I don't really know, because it may end up being either way. And so with that, I thank you so much once again for the support, Tangen, and also allowing us to address a live cat. A live cat.
That's different.
I'm butchering every word. It's the sport live cat. Oh, Lord, man. Tonight's going to be a wild night. But anyways, thank you so much once again, Tangen. I hope we addressed that live chat fairly well. And so with that, we are on to the next one.
All right. So our next one here, also Smog said, by default, no comment means go to a chat question. We have thought about that before, Smog, but the only problem is if we did that for every single one that didn't have a comment, we would be totally out of live chat questions before we got to that segment. But it was a good idea. We have thought about that. But anyways, moving on to our next one, we have a $15 donation from Rustin Rott, who has been around for a very long time as well, who says, if it is accepted that Russia has squandered its armed forces, is it possible that we will see Ukraine achieve the sweeping armored maneuvers that were characteristic in this area during World War II?
I don't think we'll see the Ukrainians doing any sweeping armored movements. They may, however, because they do have the number of armored vehicles to do it. I don't think we will, because it seems as though Ukrainian doctrine largely has moved away from massive armored waves. It appears that they move with armored personnel carriers and infantry groups that are heavily equipped, but with very little tank support. So we will see wide sweeping offensives, but it will largely be lacking armor as compared to what we saw in the Second World War in these same areas, which is the perfect area for massive sweeping armor movements, which is really interesting doctrinally. It's really the only place in the world where it can kind of work, rather than the United States, which has wide open plains throughout most of it, and also in Canada as well in some spots. But it's a great question, honestly, but I think that we probably wouldn't see it with a lot of tanks. It would be with a smaller amount of tanks and largely relying on the infantry and the artillery to back them up. And so with that, I thank you so much for the support. I hope that does answer the question fairly well. And that doesn't really have historical precedent to it, because you actually brought up historical precedent, the Second World War. And in this instance, we see that the Ukrainians' doctrine just doesn't really mix with it. It seems as though they are using a largely tankless doctrine from what we can tell. The tanks are rarely ever used by them. And so with that, I hope that does answer the question fairly well again and kind of double down. And with that, thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running. Folks like you and y'all support, and it helps us to stay alive behind the scenes, no lie. And of course, y'all are the only thing that helps this channel to keep on running. And so thank you to you so much once again for helping us to keep this thing going. And with that, we are on to the next one.
Now, I've got to say, I'm sure a lot of you are also noticing it. Tonight, the bots are coming in strong, and apparently Russia is firing back up their bot machine. Because like William Cutler right there just said, Zelenskyy killed more people than the COVID virus.
We didn't say that. Don't read off that last part, because even though we're saying it with a T, it sounds like a D, and when we read that off, we could get in a lot of trouble. With YouTube, we were going over that last night.
That was about the other thing, the medication. You can't get in trouble for saying the word.
Well, they always go through, and they always age restrict people for weird things. But I was actually going to read that, but cut that part out. Zelenskyy killed more people in. That's what it looks like. This guy can't even spell. That's how bad off the bots are. Can't even spell. But anyways, also, wait a minute, did you get another one? No, you didn't. That was Nightbot.
For some reason, Nightbot got Michael. Why did he get Michael?
No, I was sitting there, I was looking, I was like, Michael's been on the channel for ages. I was like, what?
It's because he said the forbidden word. Michael, the Nightbot's really strict about that. I probably would not have deleted it.
Yeah, the Nightbot is really strict about that. We do that for a reason, because while you're saying it in kind of a neutral tone, while you're saying it about that particular thing, and I understand the context it's being used, if we allow the names of current and former presidents to be said in this live chat, people will use that like a weapon. They'll be in here saying so and so sucks, I'm for so and so, back him up, and it'll become like the American politics live chat, like everything does. So that's why we generally dissuade those words, in the Nightbot enforces that heavily. So sorry about that. You weren't supposed to be timed out, but it is very strict about that. And so with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and the next one goes to Exit Wound 50 cal, who puts in a $10 donation and says, any word on Vasquez from International Legion?
We haven't really heard about him a lot. I don't know if he's left Ukraine or if he's still there. We don't hear about him anymore, though. That is one thing for certain. And I'm glad that you've noticed that as well, because, we don't ever report on individual stories here, but he was actually a guy that a lot of people wanted us to have on as a guest star, and I don't know where he is now or what he's doing. So with that, I hope that answers the question fairly well. And thank you so much once again for the support. And I'm just going to say this, Matthew. Is the exit wound of a 50 caliber new to the Lee Spring Army?
I believe so.
That is a cool name. I was like, I've never heard that one before. And if you are new, thank you so much for supporting us for the first time. And also, thank you so much for a good question as well. And that is a cool name. I really like that name. And so with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to stay alive.
All right, and the next one goes to White Line and 777, who puts in a $10 donation and says, we've all heard about Wagner PMCs, but what mercenaries are fighting for Ukraine in case hypothetically one wanted to go over there?
There are no specific mercenary groups. The Ukrainians don't hire private military contractors, which is the Gentile name for a mercenary. We don't see them hiring any, but however, they do run foreign legions. As far as we can tell, the foreign legions have broken apart in their cohesion, so there's no longer an American foreign legion, a British foreign legion, a Polish foreign legion. They're mixing them all largely together, except for the largest ones, like the Georgian Legion. They're still a separate unit. So that would be the best way you could get in Ukraine and fight for them, is through the Foreign Legion. But beyond that, I don't know of any mercenary groups that would be comparable to the Wagner that are fighting on the Ukrainian side in more ways than one. And so with that, I thank you so much for the support. I hope that does answer the question fairly well, based off of our knowledge. And with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support.
All right, and up next, we have a $10 super chat from Thomas Kroger, or I think it's Thomas Kruger, actually. Sorry about that, Thomas. He says, Enforcer, why are the Russians spending so much in man and material in Bakhmut?
It's kind of like a last-ditch Hail Mary in a way. There's really no way to explain it, because if you look at the front line, there's really, honestly, it's really the only thing that they have worth of value that's in reach anymore of the front lines, because if you look in the south, towards Zaporizhia, there's nothing down here. You would have to go a pretty good distance to Zaporizhia to finally get to it. So there's nothing worthwhile of fighting for down there. They can't cross the Dnipro, so Kherson's off the picture. There's really nothing on the Donetsk line unless you go all the way to Pokrovsk, which is a decent ways behind the front lines. Slovyansk and Kramatorsk are now well behind the lines. Izium is, of course, well behind the lines. Kharkiv is as well. And everywhere else in Ukraine has either been liberated or the Russians aren't even fighting it anymore. And so if you look at the front line, and everywhere there is that may be a strategic location to take, Bakhmut is about the only one left. And that is probably the reason why they're fighting for it, is because strategically it's the most advantageous thing that they can take on the current front line they have. And beyond that, it isn't even that great of a town to take strategically and for Russia's future in the war. And so with that, I hope that answers the question fairly well. And once again, remember, I'm trying to work off of this and deduct it off of logic and sense, because nobody really knows why they're going for Bakhmut. I don't even think the Russian government knows why they're going for Bakhmut, rather than that reason. So I think that's the only sensible idea that we can come up with out of the entire reason why they're going for it. And so with that, I thank you so much once again for support. I hope that does answer the question fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one.
Can you believe it? But Exit Wound 50 Cal said that he was here since Moscow Mike.
What? Wait a minute, did he change his name or something? Because I have never heard or seen him before, ever. Like, that's got to be a new name, right?
I think he must have had it. He didn't say he changed it. He just must be quiet in the live chat.
Maybe, because I swear, I thought you were brand new, because I have never seen your name before. I'm not going to take the credit from you, though. You are an Old Guard member if you've been around since Moscow Mike, and considering that you know channel lore, you must have been around then, because not a lot of people get into the channel lore much, so you are definitely an Old Guard member. I'm sorry about that, but I swear, like, wait a minute, Aldo is saying he's been here a while. How come we've never, like, what, has he been invisible to us?
I've memorized everybody in the live chat. I don't remember seeing that name.
Like, I swear, I promise y'all, in the 10-minute countdown, I know all of the names that are going to pop up. And a lot of y'all are talking in the live chat right now, like Jorn Schneider, 907 Pike, Alaska, Surprise-Atus, which I was surprised at Sus, which I almost always respond to, Uncle Grandpa, Pack Rat, Deepest Tempest. Y'all are all JC, like, For Karma. We Alabama Cajun, it's been a long time. Shife, forever. Louis Marina, Brian Fernald, like, literally all the channel legends are talking in the live chat right now. And we know, like, everyone in here, like, we remember y'all's names and we are familiarized with who's been here. I just don't remember. Like, I don't know how we haven't noticed you, Exit Wound 50 Caliber, because I would have remembered a name that cool. Like, I'm sorry about that. I'm really sorry about that. I can't believe I honestly feel like we have to commit seppuku now, Matthew, because we've let one of our Old Guard members down. What the hell? Anyways, sorry about that, Exit Wound 50 Cal. But with that, we are on to the next one. Sorry for mistaking you for a brand new member.
All right. So up next, we have a $10 super chat from Siri, who says it's colder than a oh, let's see. This is one of these things that's kind of like questionable. Should I read it off? I know Siri had good intent in mind when they wrote that, but unfortunately, I'm going to send it over to you.
All right.
For some reason, I feel weird reading this off.
The referee has put in a flag on the 4th and 9th of the game.
That's the first sentence.
Really? Oh, wait a minute. Upon review from the referee, the thing is safe to read as long as you read it with a very large emphasis on it not being the other word that's supposed to be, and you try and make it sound as different as possible. So go.
Go ahead.
Oh,
go
okay.
ahead.
It's colder than a... hang on. You know what? We're just going to read this the way it's supposed to be read. I'm just going to read it in a real Southern hick accent so it works. Martha? It's colder than a witch's teat in Oslo, but imagine it's 100 times worse in the Donbass Trench.
And do you think the Ukrainians on the front have enough thermal undies? Keep up the good work.
And thank you so much, Siri, for the support. I hope you enjoyed how we read that. And to answer that question, it is freezing cold in most areas of the front line. I think that they do have enough thermal underwear, along with just largely cold winter weather for the most part. So to answer that question, yes, but we don't really have enough exact information on the one underwear to be sure. So with that, I thank you so much once again for the support, Siri. I hope that does answer the question fairly well. But once again, we don't have any hardcore information on the underwear. You know, as sad as it is, we don't focus a lot on the underwear. And so with that, we're on to the next one, Martin. Thank you so much once again for the support. Yeah.
All right, and that was supposed to be yeehaw. Let me fix that real quick. But anyways, up next, we have a $10 super chat from BC Skyman. And this time, BC does not leave a comment. But once again, BC, thank you very much for the support. BC has been around forever, and everybody knows it. So, Enforcer, what say you?
I would have to say that BC is a legend among legends. He's been around forever, and he's always supported this channel. I believe, like, every day without fail, except for hunting trips. And I've got to say, I got to thank you so much for the support, BC Skyman, because you helped out this channel a great deal. And, you know, I'm not lying when I say that. You have. You've helped out a load. And I got to thank you so much for being a channel legend, a Lee Spring Army Old Guard, and not only that, but helping us to keep this thing running. And so with that, thank you so much once again. And we are on to the next one.
All right. And up next, we have a $10 super chat from Analytics Group, who sadly left us. But anyways, who said, please read this. A British general confirmed and told in a British SEAL magazine that a British SEAL did fight in Ukraine. Kinetic battle, big last news.
And I thank you for the support, Analytics Group, but I don't think we've had any confirmed news on that. I think we had something similar to that before on stream, but it was a very small group, and as far as we can tell, most of the Western forces that are in Ukraine are in advisor roles and similar positions. And so with that, I thank you so much once again for the support, Analytics Group. I hope that does address the comment fairly well, but we will look into it a little bit more and see if we can find any more information to back that up. And so with that, we are on to the next one, and thank you once again for the support.
All right. And up next, we have a $10 super chat from Fly Eagles Fly, who says, loving the show tonight. Here's $10 for the enjoyment. Thank you. He says, my question is, where are all the tanks? Ukraine must have a crazy amount of tanks right now. Is it the terrain of the front lines? ?
I would say that the Ukrainians do have a lot of tanks. If we look at their armored forces, they have a decent amount of them, something like 1,000 of them or so, at least in running order. And from what we can tell, they largely don't use them. They keep them in reserves, and they use them to, I guess you could say, solidify or fortify positions on front lines whenever the Russians are pushing heavily. Sorry if y'all heard that. That was my knee hitting a part of my desk. It now hurts very badly. But for the large part, it seems that they use them in defensives. They don't use them a lot in offensives. Except for the one-off occasion in Kherson. We did see a decent amount of armored vehicles being used in that push there, but that was a push with very little resistance from what we could tell. And so with that, I hope that does answer the question fairly well. And thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running. Also, really good question, because beyond us largely knowing that they're in reserve, we don't really know what they're doing for the most part. And so with that, thank you once again, Fly Eagles Fly, for the support. Also, how are the Eagles doing? Because usually you tell us about that. You didn't tell us about that in this one. And I'm wondering, how are they doing? Has anything changed from last time, or are they the same as normal? But with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running.
All right. And up next, we have a $7 super chat from Banana Boat 30 Plus, who says, hello from Footscray, Australia. Just here to say that even a stalemate is a victory for a defender. Robbing the ability for the attacker to achieve their war goals is still a victory.
And I thank you so much for the support, and thank you for hitting that early war mindset that everyone had, and I had as well, and I still have it. Ukraine is fighting a defensive war. It's not really their goal to end the war as fast as possible. It's not like they have to go throw everything into the wind to try and do that. It's really up for the Russians, considering that they initiated an offensive to end the war as soon as possible, and we can see that they've completely fallen apart. And in that aspect, the Ukrainians are winning. It is a defensive war after all, so they don't have to be taking ground or pushing into Russia. That's not their job in this kind of war. And so I thank you so much for pointing that out, and that is definitely true. And moving on down to Footscray, Australia, this appears to be a small suburb or a part of Melbourne, and Melbourne is in Victoria. Neat. This area is actually named after Queen Victoria, which is even neater. But anyways, let's drop down. Wow, is that a... What is this? Dang, that's a massive rail yard. And there's the port. Some big boats. I wonder if they ever given this one of these ships. You know, because that's the most famous cargo
ever
ship.
Given?
Yeah, ever given.
I think they've given a while back.
Ah. Get out of here. Get out of here. You know what? That's it. You're done. You're done. Pack up your bags.
That took him a good like 10 seconds to think about that.
Get out of here. Nope, we're not doing that. Anyways, let's drop down to Footscray and let's see what it looks like. Oh wow, this is really nice. Like nicely paved roads, even a mini. They got a mini. Like nice. This is a nice place, Melbourne. You know, I wonder why they called Melbourne Melbourne. Was a guy named Mel born here, or did they just come up with a name some way, some form? I don't know. But it's still a nice town. Melbourne looks really nice, especially in Footscray. And so with that, also, you know, whenever we drop down in a specific spot of a town, I'm always wondering in the back of my head, I wonder if we're like on Street View right down their street and we're passing their house and like they're like sweating and they're like, oh crap, like how did he know? And if we are, don't ever say, because you could actually get yourself doxxed. But still, this is a nice place. I really like it. And let's look at downtown Melbourne over here. And let's see what this looks like. Also, the middle of the town is called CBD. That's it. I don't know. CBD, that would take a different meaning in America, but let's drop down in CBD and let's see what it looks like. Why is Australia just so nice? Look at this place. So clean. Wow.
David's Hot Pot.
David's Hot Pot. And also below it, it says, being chilling.
I was about to say
it. Anyways, also, did you know that the largest tourist population that travels to Australia is Chinese people?
Interesting. Also, turn toward that BMW over there to the left.
This one?
Yep. Somebody put the name and model and year of that BMW in the chat.
Really? Let's see here. Let me find it. They did?
No, I'm saying somebody should, like, as a trivia.
Oh, well, I mean, which one, though? The one closest or the one farthest away? There's two there.
Oh, the one closest. The one closest, the car.
Did you not ever notice the SUV back there?
No, I didn't, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like, that. When you, like, zoom in on the BMW, the whole time I was like, which one? I was like, which one am I supposed to be focusing on? This one or that one? You know, I was like, I don't know. But still, what a nice place, CBD. Really makes me want to have some CBD. Or travel to CBD. No, travel to CBD, not have any. We're not into that. Anyways, with that, oh, wait, the Melbourne Museum. What is this? This is impressive.
Oh,
that is
wow.
cool. And look, they even shot a kangaroo and killed an ostrich for this thing. That is pretty nice.
Oh, wait a minute. Don't tell me they got a quokka in here stuffed.
Oh, we gotta find out now. Now that you said it, we gotta find. Oh wow, what is this? A Polynesian longboat? That is really cool if it is. And then they got stage. What a cool museum! This is the Royal Mail, actually. Let's go look through here. Let's look on through. Stained glass windows they got on display. That's a beautiful one, by the way. They even got some pictures of old Melbourne. You know what's really interesting to me is that the roads back in the day, I really like roads without lines and like stuff on them, you know, like the bus lanes and stuff like that all painted onto the road. For some reason, simple roads that are just tarmac without any lines just looks a lot better, but you know, to actually help out traffic, you got to have them. But I like the aesthetic look at this. Also, oh cool, man, you look. They've got the old tree, like, you know, the ones that have like hundreds of years of growth,
yeah.
And they outline the rings. Look at that.
That's nice.
That means that this tree started growing around the time that Columbus discovered America 600 years ago. Well, actually, even longer before than that. Like, this would have been in the middle of
a great coffee table, too.
Man, that would be a great addition to my local Starbucks. Man, but this is one hell of a museum right here. I would love to take a look at this one. Oh, look. Well, that's not really a part of Australian history, but yeah, that's pretty cool. Huh. They got a lunar lander.
I gotta say, I'm not sure about the accuracy of that model, but it works.
I mean, it does. Also, look at these geodes. Holy moly, these things got to be like 6 feet tall. And they got a little model of the Colosseum. I mean, this is like a variety show in here. They got a little bit of everything. But anyways, we can't stick around on this forever. Your town, though, of Melbourne, and also the specific suburb that you live in, which I have to go and zoom out to find the name, Footscray, is very nice. And I'm really impressed with your town. And it's always cool to know that we have a large contingency of Australians who are members of the Lee Spring Army. And thank you so much once again for supporting this channel. Of course, the support goes a long way to keep this running, so that way we can move from day to day, surviving, eating, and living every single day, so that way we can keep doing this. And your support helps out massively in that direction, because, of course, we would starve to death without it. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the support, and we are on to the next one.
What's all this talk in the live chat about 2 kidneys, 4 kidneys? Is there some illegal transactions going on in the live chat or something? What's going on?
What is going? Wait, yeah, I'm seeing this. Like, kidneys. It's like, what's up?
I'll have 4 kidneys. No, only for 2. Only for 2.
These people are turning me into David Lloyd George in the chat, man. They're looking at like a map of the body, like, yes, I shall have 2 kidneys. Yes, snatch them right out of the body. But anyways, we're on to the next one.
All right, and up next, we have a $5 super chat from Chip Kerr1, who says, I can't wait. Enforcer Bros, please tell us a Christmas story.
And thank you so much for the support. And I actually saw that super chat come in 10-minute countdown, and I told Mandy that would be a cool idea to do, is like a Christmas story thing. So, let me think of a Christmas story. Let's see.
A Christmas Quokka. A tale from the LSA.
A Christmas Carol.
A Christmas Carol in prose, beginning a ghost story of Christmas. Commonly known as A Christmas Carol, is a novella by Charles Dickens, first published in London by Chapman and Hall in 1843, and illustrated by John Leech. A Christmas Carol recounts the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, an elderly miser, much like myself, who visited by the ghost of his former business partner, Jacob Marley, and the spirits of Christmas past, present, and yet to come. After their visits, Scrooge is transformed into a kinder, gentler man, who now trades in day stocks and cryptocurrency. Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol during a period when the British were exploring and re-evaluating past Christmas traditions, including carols and newer customs such as Christmas cards and Christmas trees. He was influenced by the experience of his own youth and by the Christmas stories of other authors, including Washington Irving and Douglas Jerrold. Dickens had written 3 Christmas stories prior to the novella. And I'm going to head stop. I feel like this is going on too long, but hopefully y'all enjoyed that a little bit. I can't think of any Christmas stories off the top of my head that could be covered in a very short amount of time. But if y'all would like to hear one, let me know. And maybe I'll make a video where I talk in a voice of anyone. It may even be Mike Tyson. And I'll read y'all a Christmas story. Also, someone said, that fool sound constipated, and he kind of was. That almost was a mix. That almost was a mix in between David Attenborough and Next Up on American Greed, Trouble in the White House. Like, that almost was a mix in between the two, and I wasn't really happy with it. And someone said, that is God British. God British? I didn't think it was, but I thank you for the compliment, though. That was very nice of you, Aldo. But with that, I thank you so much for the support. I hope that jostled your Russells just enough. And with that, we are on to the next one. Thank you so much once again for the support. And with that, on to the next one.
All right, and up next, we have a $5 super chat from Videshi Baba. We also have a $5 super chat from Jayburn, who, it doesn't look like they left comments. For some reason, I thought they did. But Videshi and also Jayburn, thank you very much for that support, and we do appreciate it very much as usual. And also, shout out to Edgar Moreno for putting in a $10 donation just a second ago. Edgar didn't leave a comment, sadly, but thank you all 3. And Enforcer, what say you?
Why don't you throw in any comments? Y'all make me feel so bad. Because we, of course, we need y'all's support to keep this channel running, and it's very important. We thank y'all so much for it. But y'all made me feel so bad when y'all send in support without comments, because like we don't have anything to add or to contribute to y'all support. But I do thank y'all so much once again, because of course we rely on it to keep this channel running, and without y'all it wouldn't be possible. I just wish I could give y'all a little bit more in return than all we can give rather than the thanks. But with that, thank you to all 3 of y'all so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running, every one of you. And so with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again.
And up next, we have a $5 super chat from Honeybee Care, who says, are you two going to the same law school or different ones? If you don't want to answer, then grab a question from the live chat. And I'll say for me that as it stands right now, we'll both be going to the same law school, but I'm waiting on one more decision that I haven't gotten back yet, which may change my mind a little bit. But for right now, we're both going to the same one. So Enforcer, take it away.
We are going to the same one. Matthew, would you like to share with them?
Share with them what the name of the school?
Yes, the name of the school, our professors, and where we'll be not just kidding. No, we're not doing that. But we are going to the same law.
That's doxing.
Yes, that is called doxing, and that can go very badly for you. So we sadly cannot do that. Maybe, well, even then you don't want to do it. Even if you get in and you're in there for a while, you still don't want to say where it is.
Because, but what are we worried about, really?
Well,
because the school's not going to give out our information or anything if somebody called about it.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm worried about. We tell people where we are going to law school. They then ring up the place, and they start telling all kinds of slander and libel against us that we can't really defend ourselves against, like, you know, all kinds of heinous stuff, like we're terrible people, you know, we try to do this or that, and it's all made up crap. And so many people call in that hate this channel, that now know where we're going, that the college goes, we've reevaluated our decision and you're not going to law school. Although everything they said would be an entirely made up lie, but there would be nothing that we could, you know, really say to the contrary at that point.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
that's true.
So that's why.
Also, but we can't say this though, because Richard Philpott said it sounds like Princeton. Or
It's
Harvard.
not Princeton.
Somebody said Harvard. It's not the Ivy League schools. We're not going to an Ivy League law school, if that's what you're wondering.
We're not going to an Ivy League law school, but it is a good one. I can't really go into much detail, of course, on it because it'll give away which one it is, but it is a good one. That's just all I can say.
It's ABA accredited.
It is ABA accredited and also has an ABC liquor license. I'm just kidding. It doesn't have that. But with that, we are on to the next one. I hope that answers the question the best we can. But once again, we can't say exactly where because of, you know, safety reasons. We don't want to end up screwing ourselves over because a lot of people end up doing that. And of course, there are very weird people out there too, very crazy people out there. And every once in a while, we always have the misfortune of running across one. Like interestingly enough, I actually got an email from someone the other day that was emailing me about what one of our viewers was saying somewhere, and I was like, I can't, like, that's not a crazy person, but it was like one of those things where it's like, what am I supposed to do? I can't control what viewers do, you know. It's like, but anyways, with that, we are on to the next one. I hope we answered that fairly well, and thank you so much once again for the support.
And Chip Kerwan said we're copyright gangsters. I don't know what that means, Chip, but thanks.
We're copyright
I guess that's like a flex. We're copyright gangsters.
Hey Matthew, we're copyright gangsters representing the site, East London. Get it, bro.
have you seen like the Lad? I think it's like Lad Bible or something like that. They interviewed the British gangster, and he was talking about how he educated the guy. He wasn't a gangster by putting a gun up to him.
Wait, let me do it. This man, he called me a gangster. And so I walked up to him, and I put my pistol in his mouth, and I told him, I'm not a gangster, I'm just a businessman, and my business is crime. Honestly,
it sounds a whole lot like he's a gangster. That's kind of like a stupid thing. He tried to sound cool, but it kind of was stupid at the same time.
But I got to give this guy credit, though, Matthew. If you look into this guy's backstory, like, he was like Britain's version of Al Capone. Like, that guy was dangerous. Like, he was something. But anyways, with that, we are on to the next one. And also, Aaron got a good laugh out of that. I'm glad y'all got a laugh out of that. And hopefully y'all know the video we're talking about. So with that, we are on to the next one.
All right. And up next, we have a $5 super chat from Fushikone, who says, here's a shallow rabbit hole for a history bug. A shallow rabbit hole. I like that. Sweden's Saab 37 Viggen. Enjoy.
The Saab 37 Viggen was so cool when it was introduced. It still is pretty cool. I actually think I've showed this to Matthew before. The Viggen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty neat, isn't it? They also got a really cool display of it in the Swedish Air Force Museum.
What I thought that was a smiley face for a second behind the number 10.
Oh no, that's the Swedish Air Force roundel.
I thought it was a smiley face until I studied it.
And here's another picture of one. This one's in 1993.
Ooh. That plane is thick.
It is thick, but this thing was also the only aircraft in history to be able to intercept the SR-71. Now, if that isn't something worth crediting, that's actually pretty crazy. It's a cool aircraft all around. And once again, it's one of those things that lets you know that Sweden was on top of things when they made this. It was one of the first aircraft in the world to actually include a heads-up display. A modern heads-up display. It was also the first to integrate modern computer technologies, among many other things. This thing was really cutting edge for its time. A really cool vehicle all around. So, I mean, it's just impressive. Also, you can see one right here painted in red. This one's in an air show livery. I forgot.
Red.
It's commie. But anyways, this one is a really interesting one. I forgot the exact history behind its air show a little bit. But still pretty interesting to see. Also, I like how someone literally just went on a rant about us talking through a clip, and in the middle of the stream I actually explained why we talk through clips, so that way they're fair use and we can never be...
Oh, that guy's a troll from another channel. I've seen 3 of them tonight, and I've seen them on another channel that also does Ukraine stuff, and I'm noticing a little trend here.
It's a little trend. You know, let me ask this again. Can we not have beef? You know, we're trying to make it clear that the people we had beef with, because you know, in case y'all don't know, this is something that's always going on in the background. The channel that we had beef with was a totally different one, and then someone misinterpreted that to be their channel, and now they are not letting go of that, although we've made it clear multiple times in plain language who misunderstood it, and we didn't mean for them to misunderstand it. It was for someone else, and for some reason it still hasn't died, and now, for some reason tonight, like Matthew said, I am noticing that we're getting some viewers from over there that are coming over here. So I don't know why. Like, we're not trying to have any beef with anyone. We're just covering the news on the war, and that's all we're doing. Sorry if that...
Oh, Uncle Grandpa, Diddy. That's why they're over here then. Did you see that?
Of course. Like last night, I literally asked, and it was specifically for that reason. Can we have less beef? The guy now makes more beef. I don't really know what to do anymore.
We all know why he's doing it. He's trying to get us to say his name, and we're not going to fall into that trap.
I gotta listen, y'all. I gotta be honest. I'm really tired of this. And this is also why we're not addressing the guy's name, because I don't know if that's subjective or what. But what the hell? I mean, like, we have not had a problem with this guy ever. Like, when he took us with having a problem with him, the next day we were like, we aren't having a problem with you. We were having a problem with another channel, but we aren't wanting to call him out because it's supposed to be just like an address directly to the channel owner, you know. And it's never dropped. It's never dropped. He's still at it. I don't know why. I'm tired of it. Really. I mean, like, it's starting to really annoy us a decent bit. I don't know why, because like we've never said anything bad about him. Back when we actually used to list him off on our channel by name, we had nothing but good things to say about the guy. And for some reason, he's had like this like pick in his crawl, and he thinks that we were talking about him. We made it clear that we weren't, and we've even later on talked about who it kind of was, but still didn't name the channel. And he's still got a bone to pick. I don't know why. I have no idea why. It's really sad. And
it's no bone to pick. He's just simply trying to get a shout out for his channel is all. But he's not man enough to reach out and just simply connect with us and do it the right way. He'd rather do it this really weird way and create a beef so he can get a call out.
Like, if the guy if you want us to come on our show, and if he's wanting to do something like that, just let us know. Like listen. I don't have a problem with anyone for the most part. I try and get along with everyone the best I can. And every once in a while I'll see something and maybe say something about it, but it's not supposed to ever be meant in a critical or mean way. That's not how I am. And well, I will say this though. We did make a mistake with the Funker 530 channel at the beginning. We were told some misinformation by some viewers that they were selling Ukraine merch and they were just pocketing all the money. We actually found out that was wrong. They actually donated all of their merch sales that month, which was like $117,000 to a non-profit. I believe it was actually the American Red Cross, which was incredible for them. And we actually brought Ronnie Fitt, who's kind of like the representative of Funker on stream, and quashed the whole thing. That's the only time we've ever had beef with anyone. And I don't want to have beef with anyone. Like, we're just here to cover the war, you know?
Anyways,
anyways,
I see some folks saying that they're getting tired of the rants, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, honestly, it kind of is. But anyways, the vegan is pretty cool. And so with that, let's see. Someone just said, I'm beefing with them. No, I'm not. Who in the world? How in the world am I beefing with them? I'm not the one who ever says anything. Everyone's always coming over here and telling me that he said something about me. You know, like the last time I heard about it, and I finally went and checked on it, was about the Patriots. And, you know, and how I said a week and a half ago or something that they were going to be sent to Ukraine. They were just working out the details right now. We'll probably get more news on it later. And then he said to call me out for fake news. And then just yesterday, it actually becomes official. They've been working on it for a couple of weeks, and they're now in the final process of having them sent over. You know, and it's been nonstop like that. But we're going to move on because that's pointless to cover. So with that, thank you so much for the support. I hope you enjoyed us looking at the Vigans. Sorry for the rant. But with that, we are on to the next one.
So just to make it clear, we're not talking about Ronnie Fitt. We actually are good friends with Ronnie Fitt, so it's definitely not him. So don't misconstrue it to mean we were talking about Ronnie. So just want to make that clear. We've had that mistake before, like the enforcer just mentioned. But anyways, our next one goes to Louis Marina, who puts in a $10 donation and says, do you think Putin is trying to reproduce Stalin's cannon fodder success, or do you think he actually believes Cold War tactics are viable in 2022? Or third option, he bluffed and lost.
He bluffed and he lost. They already know that the army is backwards. And now, real quick, let me go back and address this real quick. No, I brought up Ronnie Fitt because that's the only time we had a beef with anyone, but we quashed the beef. He's actually on our Discord. He's a really cool guy, and we got to talk to him on stream, off stream. Really cool guy all around. We just misunderstood that whole thing, but that's why I brought that up. Beyond that, we don't want to have a beef with anyone. We want to get along with everyone the best we can, if we can. But moving on back to this question, it was a bluff and it failed because obviously Cold War era doctrine made in the 60s and the 70s isn't going to hold up against modern doctrines using modern technology. So it was largely a bluff, and he thought that the bluff and the smoke and mirror show that they pulled off for years would succeed, and they would sit there and push through Ukraine, the government would flee, and the nation would fall apart, and they'd take it. And they would have to live off of the fear that they've instilled in everyone through their propaganda stories alone, and then that all failed. And so I would largely have to say it was all a bluff. And they lost everything because of it. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Landlubber, who puts in a $5 donation and says, not very religious, but I pray for the AFU every night.
And thank you so much for the support. And I, too, also pray for the AFU often. Not every night, but every once in a while, like especially like on days like these when you see what the Ukrainians are really going through. It's always tough to think that people are going through that, and you always want to wish them the best. And so I always say, you know, help them out, cover them, protect them if you can, and stuff like that. And so with that, I thank you so much once again for the support, and I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one, and thank you once again.
And up next, we have 5 super chats from Fusha Cone, who puts in a $5 donation each. And Fusha, first off, thank you for the support. I don't want to say it 5 times over since we have 5 in a row, so thank you ahead of time. We do appreciate it. And Fusha says, on the first one, did the captured Russian look alike Curly from the Three Stooges? What did Curly look like? Rabbit hole.
He kind of did look like Curly. Wait, honestly, I would say Laurel and Hardy. I just got this bag of nuts. You know that thing, Matthew?
No, honestly not.
Laurel and Hardy, you know, the whole bag of nuts skit, you know? Well, okay. Okay, apparently not. Okay, apparently that's just me. But let's pull up the Three Stooges.
There he is.
Oh, wait a minute, that's the new ones. That's the new ones. We need to find the old ones. Yeah, he kind of does, without hair. Like, he's a bald Curly. Also, that right there, Matthew, I don't know why, but why in the world does, Mo, I think his name is? No, Curly. Wait, no, that is Curly. I'm sorry, that's Larry. That's Curly. Why in the world does Curly in this picture look like Benito Mussolini?
Yeah, he does.
You know, anyways, that is really weird.
What a fine mess you've gotten into me now. I said it all wrong. What a fine mess you've gotten me into now, Ollie.
Oh, man. You know, poke him in the eyes. Anyways.
Yeah, I never understood that, like poking him in the eyes. That was kind of extreme.
Anyways, I thank you so much for the support.
And if they exist now, like Mickey Mouse would be coming after them for copyright infringement for that voice.
Well, no, they can't. We're doing We're doing Curly. We're not doing Mickey. If we did Mickey, it would have to be like, or something like that. And then the attorneys would come flowing in. But
they're firing up that jet right now from Orlando. They're coming this way.
Actually, I think it's Lake Buena Vista. Wait a minute, that is in Orlando. What am I talking about? Anyways, you were right. He does look a lot like Curly, didn't he? And so with that, I think he's showing again for the support and allowing us to take a look at this Russian prisoner of war a long time ago in a land far away. Well, actually, it's in America. But anyways, with that, we are on to the next one. Thank you once again for having a very astute set of eyes to find that similarity. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and up next, we have a $7 super chat from Papin, who says, Enforcer, what do the Patriot missiles use as a guidance system? Seems amazing to hit a high-speed missile.
Sadly, I don't know what they use to hit to guide the missile. It may be some kind of, I don't know. I mean, like high-end. Well, it's obviously some kind of computation technology of some sort, but I don't really know. I sadly I can't really answer that question because I don't know a lot about the computation technology that goes into these missiles to make them work. So honestly, I would have to declare ignorance on it, but it is, in simple terms, using some kind of high-tech computer technology to be able to guide itself onto the target and hit it. And it's probably also radar guided as well by the radar system that is a part of the Patriot system. But once again, that's all, I guess you could say, assumptions based off of not really enough information. And so with that, I'm sorry, I hope that answers the question fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And up next, we have a $5 super chat from Fushikone once again, who says, I sent my Merry Christmas sunflower seeds to the Russian embassy in D.C., included a very nice card. Anyone else do this?
And I thank you so much for the support, Fushikone. And I wonder how many sunflower seeds they're going to be getting in the embassy. And I wonder if they're going to... Say what?
Spicy.
Spicy.
They don't want to spicy.
That's a spicy meatball. The Russians open it up. It's got. I can't say that on YouTube.
No.
But it's got some fumes in the thing. But anyways, I wonder how much they're going to be getting, Fushia, because if you're sending them, imagine how many thousands of people are probably actually mailing some to the embassy. And so with that, I thank you so much once again for the support. And I wonder how many people are actually doing that in this live chat, because I'd be interested to find out. And so with that, we are on to the next one.
The next one is from Fushikone once again, who says, should the Ukrainians work to funnel overcharged 7.62 ammo into Russian supply chains, Russian conscripts will have their AKs fail, ?
Wait, read that again? You were laughing so much I couldn't really get it.
Should the Ukrainians work to funnel overcharged 7.62 ammo into Russian supply chains, Russian conscripts will have their AKs fail, ?
Wait, he's talking about, like, smuggling hot load AK ammo into Russia?
I guess he means, like, the ammo's too hot, like the type that will explode on you.
He's talking about bubbling out ammo.
Yes, the type that almost took out Kentucky Ballistics, that type.
Jenny, step aside while I shoot my hot load. Oh, wait a minute, that sounded wrong. Wait a minute, let me back it.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, wait a minute, time out. Wait a minute. I didn't realize how that would sound until I said it. That was bad.
Now that one's gonna be a new level of not living it down. I can tell you that right now.
You know what? We're moving on, maybe. And so that I don't know. We should end early. That's a high note to end on. But we're on to the next one.
All right. So our next one. We're going to want to clip that out later. I can feel it right now.
We can't edit it out. We can. YouTube only gives us that option if it has something like copyrighted in it. We can edit that out, but we can't edit out specific bits. Oh, God.
Oh. All right. So, Fushikone, man. The next one says, you do a great 45 and great Arnold. Oh, goodness. That one screwed me up. Let's see here. Shoot. Let me try to collect myself.
Oh, we thought everything else was bad. That was the worst ever. That was the worst. Oh my God!
That's definitely gonna come up later if you ever run for president. Someone's gonna be playing as a soundbite. But anyways, you do a great 45 and great Arnold. Can you do a short skit about the two of them bagging on each other? Your impressions are super fun to listen to.
Thank you so much for the support. That was terrible. I mean, we make sure Keep everything as PG as possible. And that was PG, it was. But the way it came out was so bad. Oh my god, that is terrible. I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm sorry, but that y'all are getting a lot of laughs out of that.
You know how when your face gets like stuck in like a permanent expression and it starts hurting? That's like the cringe, the blushing of the face. My cheek muscles hurt.
Oh my lord. You know, I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. Like, we always, whenever we get had like that, that is completely genuine. Like, I was not thinking about how that would come out until I got done saying it. And as soon as I said the last part of it, I was like, oh no, that's terrible. That wasn't the way it was meant. Oh my god. So anyways, reread that one to me so that way we can try and do the Donald Trump Arnold thing, but the right way.
So, let's see. You do a great 45 and great Arnold. Can you do a short skit about the two of them bagging on each other? Your impressions are super fun.
So bagging on each other, like just absolutely roasting each other.
Yeah, like, I guess I don't know how else to say it, like taking the piss out of each other,
Okay,
I guess.
okay, so let me try and get past the massive blunder we just had. Also, it looks like Miss Tisa appreciated it a lot, sending a $20 super chat for it, apparently. But anyways, let me get to reading this, and let me see if I can come up with something good. So, hopefully not anything as bad as I just said. So, if you look at this guy, he's an absolute failure. His ratings are terrible. He spent billions and... you better shut your mouth, Donald. I supported John Kasich in the election. He's better than you. Yes, but look at your face. You look like a dried up piece of leather. I look like a nice orange piece of leather. So you can go and jump off a hill or something like that. Or you can hang out with Rosie O'Donnell, who's also much like you, washed up. The ratings are low. You better not make any jokes about me. I can still punch at my size. Someone hit me in the back in South Africa or wherever, and I literally just took it. It was a whole, like, 180-pound guy kind of goes, not gonna lie, that was cap. Not gonna lie, that was kind of like cap. But moving on from that, you suck. You're terrible. Your movies are poor. I've never seen anyone make movies like you. I've never heard of your movies before. Terminated what? Your career. That's about the best I can think of. Just terrible. I'm gonna beat your ass. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed that a little bit. Like, I'm trying to come up with a riff. I can't really come up with anything for Arnold because usually Arnold's actually a pretty polite guy. He doesn't really say anything negative, so it's really hard to come up with anything to say for him, you know, like ready to riff on someone. But I hope y'all enjoyed that nonetheless, and thank you so much once again for the support. And I hope that qualified. I hope that was good and met the mark. And so with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support.
All right, and up next we have that $20 donation from Miss Disa that and the enforcer just mentioned, who says thanks for the humor along with the news. Only the LSA diehards last to the end of the stream.
And thank you so much for the support, Miss Disa. And I swear that humor that was interjected a little bit earlier was not supposed to come out that way. I promise. Like, it was not. It was like oh my god, I hate that even happened. Because, you know, that's terrible, man. That's like that time we were putting up that TV and, that certain thing was said. You know, I remember, the whole thing. That was like
It was nothing bad, by the way. That an enforcer made it sound like something heinous was said. It was innocent.
It was innocent, but it was very much like that one because you don't think about it until you say it. Then you say it and you're like, oh my god, that is terrible. But at least every other streamer ever has had something like that happen, so that's not that bad, but still, I hate it. Anyways, I thank you so much, though, for enjoying that, because while that's an unintended bit of humor, I feel that it was pretty funny. That's why I got a laugh out of it, although it wasn't intended. So I thank you so much for enjoying it. And also, LSA, diehards are the ones that do make it to the end of the stream. A lot of people drop off in between the news segment to the end. Like, we'll probably end out tonight with around 3,000 people live, and at the peak tonight, we had around 6.3, so about half of everyone will have dropped off, but that's fine, like, a lot of people are LSA diehards because a lot of people get on nightly to watch the news segment alone and then they click off. But a lot of y'all also enjoy this little news segment, and I'd like to know that y'all do enjoy it because it means a lot to me to know that we can all sit around after the news and chit chat and joke around and answer serious questions and get to the bottom of things every once in a while that's going on over there. And so with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support, Miss Disa, and helping this channel to keep on running so that way we can continue to have terrible gaffes like that one. And with that, we're on to the next one.
All right. And the last one from Fusha Khan says, Zelensky's quote, "I need ammunition, not a ride." Meanwhile, Ashraf Ghani, president, quote unquote, of Afghanistan, fled to Abu Dhabi. What a contrast.
It is a contrast, and that was probably what was leading us into thinking that Ukraine would collapse, is that if Afghanistan showed us one thing on that one-off instance, is that Western-supported governments in other areas of the world, well, Ukraine isn't hardly even Western-supported, but with Afghanistan, it was largely Western-supported, they collapse within literal hours after we leave, and that wasn't really a good look. And I think what a lot of people were thinking is that coming off of the Afghan war and the terrible failure that happened there with maintaining the government of Afghanistan beyond that, that would happen in Ukraine as well. And it didn't. And I thought that was a massive contrast. And probably what led to a lot of people not having faith in Ukraine is that they thought Ukraine would go the same way as Afghanistan did just a couple of months before. And so with that, I hope that does address the comment fairly well, and thank you so much once again for the support, and really a big contrast for sure. And with that, we are on to the next one.
You know, I like it how everything in the chat now has a double meaning. Like just reading through the chat here, do you see the different statements that are being said?
Yes, I do. Oh
Yes.
no,
Oh.
Heather in New Hampshire, what the hell? Like, come on, y'all. Come on. It was a cab. Don't make us live and die by it. Come on. Anyways, we're on to the next one.
All right. So, real quick, I joke, puts in a £1 donation. Thank you very much for that. We do appreciate it. Viewer from Britain. And up next, why did I say that like Boris Johnson?
And I thank you so much, viewer from Britain. Them's the breaks.
Yes.
We're on to
But anyways, up next, we have a $5 super chat from Thomas, who says a thank you from the Denmark.
And I thank you so much for the support, and thank you for being a Lee Spring Army member all the way from Denmark. We love all of our Lee Spring Army members worldwide, and of course, Denmark is one of the cool enclaves of Lee Spring Army members there are. And so with that, we are on to the next one, and thank you so much once again. Also, Peter Chanel said, quality chat, great mods. Would you believe it? But it's just Matthew, Susie Halsey, and Psyops. And I don't know if Susie Halsey and Psyops are on tonight, so it may just be...
Let me check. Let's see. Susie's not here. It doesn't look like.
Psyops?
Looks like they both took the night off.
Oh, so it's literally... Oh, man. I wonder where they are. Because I was noticing that. I was like, where's Psyops? Like, but anyways, I got to thank y'all so much once again for enjoying the incredible work that the moderators do on our stream. Matthew is a great moderator. Susie Halsey and Psyops, when they're here, they're also really good. They help to drum up all kinds of fun stuff in the live chat, and they're great for that. And Matthew tonight has really been carrying through. He's been doing a great job moderating. And so with that,
We're what do you say when you're at work? We're short hands tonight.
Or like when I went to the shooting range with that friend and taught him how to shoot the AR-15, they said, we're short-staffed. We can't have you rent autos in this building because we don't have enough range officers. And I was like, what? Like, they stopped machine gun madness, Matthew.
Oh, why?
Because they don't have enough staff.
Oh, is that it? I thought like somebody had done something stupid and they stopped it.
Nah, someone shot through the roof, but they stopped machine gun madness.
Oh, well, that's
too.
pretty stupid.
Yeah, and that's why when you go in there now, you have to use like the blocks and like sit down with a bench and everything because, you know, people apparently can't handle recoil anymore, which is sad. But anyways, with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again to all of our Lee Spring Army viewers from Norway. Oh, not Norway, Denmark. And thank you so much once again for the support. Bilbo, no, Bilbo, no. Anyways, we're on to the next one.
All right, and up next, let's see, getting a little distracted there a little bit over there, but let's see, $5 donation from Callie J, a $2 donation from Dupper Bob, and a $2 donation from Homer Labguard. They don't leave comments, but thank you all three for the support. All three of you are channel legends, and we do appreciate it all very much. Up next, we have a $10 super chat from David Colley, who says, bless you all. Have wonderful holidays and special thoughts to those in harm's way. Great steam, guys. Thank you, David. Thank you very much.
And thank you so much, David, for the support. Thank you for the blessing as well. It means a lot to us. And we will hopefully have a great Christmas. Christmas is something that it's actually my favorite holiday of the year. Not really for the presents, but just for the whole spirit around it. It's a very nice holiday. It's just fun to enjoy. I love Christmas. Let's see, special thoughts to those in harm's way, and especially to those. I tried to make sure that we gave out as much special thoughts to them and made sure to keep people's attention on those people in harm's way down there in Bakhmut, because those guys are doing an incredible job, terrific job holding that line, even taking the casualties that they are and inflicting as many as they do on the Russians. And thank you so much once again for saying it was a great stream. It was a fun one to run tonight. Probably a gaff that'll go down in the books. I gotta, like I know even if I try and ignore that one will stick for a couple of days at least, so might as well not even act like it's going to go away. But it was funny. And so thank you so much once again for the support, David, and thank you for being around here for a while and helping this channel to keep on running too. And so with that, we're on to the next one.
All right, and up next we have a $5 super chat from Aaron Green, who says, huge refinery in Russia on fire just now.
Oh, really? Oh, is that all? Let's see, Russia news. Let's see, yeah.
It must be like, if it's really recent, you're only going to find news on the Twitter about it. You're not going to find a news story about it.
Well, I'd love to go to Twitter, but sadly, they don't like me back. So with that, we're going to move on to the next one, but I got to thank you so much once again for the support, and we'll make sure to cover that tomorrow, in tomorrow's stream, if we can find news on it. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the support. And I have to remind you all that the top 1% of news broadcasters in this country get out half of the breaking news stories. We need to implement universal breaking news stories. But anyways, with that, we're on to the next. Thank you so much once again for the support.
And up next, we have a $2 super chat from I Fart, who says, will the U.S. give the spare 100,000 GLS DBs modified?
I think they may, because it appears that they are talking about sending them over, so we'll have to wait and see, but we can't really get into anything definitive right now, but it is on the table at least. And so with that, I hope that does answer the question fairly well. And thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And the last super chat for now goes to Honeybee Care, who puts in a $2 donation and says, for milk, cookie, and candy cane fund. Get a live chat, question mark?
And no, I'm just kidding, we will. And thank you so much for the cookie and candy cane fund. The coffee fund, I hate to see it, but the coffee fund has kind of slowly disappeared over time. It's kind of sad. Also, to IMA, yes, that is the particular channel that for some reason is beefing with. I don't know why. We have made it, not to go through the whole rant again, we have made it clear we have not had a beef with them. You know, we've supported them in the past. They've been a pretty decent channel, but nowadays it's getting harder and harder to say that because they keep on beefing with us for no reason, although we've made it clear we don't have one with them. So with that, we're on to the next one.
Right. And also, David Simonetti said that, excuse me, it's an oil refinery in Angarsk, Irkutsk region. No, Angarsk.
Angarsk. Oh, so how do you spell that?
Angarsk. Irkutsk.
I found it. Let's find the oil refinery. It's going to be massive. That's not it. That's old. Here? Nope.
What was that?
This is storage units.
Oh, okay. It looked like those buildings in red looked like something else for a minute.
What do you mean?
It looked like camps or something.
Oh no, that's just a Russian storage unit. They have a holy moly, they got a lot of them in this freaking town. Here it is. Here's the oil refinery. We found it. It's only half the city over here on this side, and it literally goes from top to bottom. That is huge. I bet the one in Baton Rouge is bigger though. But anyways, Bilbo, stop! I saw him do it again. I'm like, no. But anyways, interesting. We'll have to try and find some news on that tomorrow if we can, and if we can, we will report on it. But this place looks like it's seen better days for sure. Ooh, gosh. Looking at anything in Russia in reality is like terrifying. Like I wonder what the work safety is like in this place. It's like non-existent. Like you just fall in a vat of boiling oil and just die or something. But anyways, with that, thank you for clarifying where that was. We'll make sure.
Uncle Grandpa also said that the story is in the Moscow Times.
Oh, the Moscow Times, the most critical news platform that apparently may be in Russia. So let's see. At least not on the main page.
There it is on the side 13
wait.
minutes ago. Just in. Oh.
Oh,
Whoa, we don't
no.
want to see those. No. No.
Oh, wait a minute. Here it is.
Oh.
Oh, right there. It's literally the main page thing. Cool. And there's a picture of it. Even cooler. And thank you so much, Uncle Grandpa, for clarifying that. Now is the time to support independent reporting from Russia. Well,
yeah, right.
Yeah. Anyways, we're on to the next one. Thank you so much for clarifying that, Uncle Grandpa. And it's on fire. And it looks like it's knocked out 2 people, unfortunately. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right. So that was our last
Super chat?
Was that did I just read off a super chat?
No, I think Uncle Grandpa's was a live chat.
Okay. All right. I think I might have read off a super chat. I can't remember for certain. I feel like I'm going nuts.
Where am I?
Yeah, I feel like that right now. What's going on? But anyways,
Mr. President, what do you think? What do I think? I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even know where I am. Mr. President,
I don't either anymore.
But my fellow Americans, this is former president from the 80s, and I eat jelly beans, and I have no idea what's going on anymore. But anyways, with that, we're on to the live chats, I think.
All right, so yes, moving on to the live chats, we have our Morse code decoders, Mark Hodges, WFTU, CFA, and BME. They say the Morse code message reads, the Russians lost another 760 troops killed today. Slava Ukraine, Slava Ukraine.
Oh, got it correct. And I thought that there wouldn't be a double Slava Ukraini because I included it in the message, but there was. And it shows how much quality and effort you'll put into decoding that message to make sure to include it as well. And so, with that, I thank you so much, all of y'all so much for deciphering that Morse code message again. And it's always good to know that we have people with such an interesting skill and a talent here in our stream. That's so cool. Anyways, with that, we are on to the next one. And thank y'all so much for decoding that again.
The next one goes to Mad Machine, who says, Enforcer, could the orcs be trying to buy tanks from Iran?
Let me see what kind of tanks Iran's got. Iran Army equipment. List of equipment of the Iranian Army. Oh, wonderful. Wow, this guy right here, that's the most mismatched camo. That's like Navy camo, you know, like that blue naval camo that the U.S. uses.
Yeah.
Oh, God, look at these guys. They're wearing M1 helmets. Jeez, Iran's been through better times, haven't they? And they use 1911 still, and the high powers. I'm honestly kind of a fan of the 1911, so, you know, I can't really rat on it.
Oh, wow, they used the Uzi.
I thought they were against those people. You know, that kind of seems a little counterintuitive considering that they're always saying they hate them, but they buy their guns. You know,
that's about as bad as that Russian yesterday saying he hates America and wearing a NASA hoodie.
It is. It literally is. It's like, what in the world? Also, look, they use G3s. Not a bad gun.
I've never even heard of that.
It was like an older German service rifle. Not that bad actually. It looks like they're trying to make some new guns, and now they're making this thing, which kind of looks like a FAMAS a little bit, but an ugly FAMAS. Let me scroll through. Wow, they got a lot of small arms. Jeez. Oh, they got M79s. They still use those. The last time we used these, I think, was in Vietnam. So that was a long time ago. And then they use all the RPGs, of course, and the SPGs. But let's get down to the Tonk. So, wow, they got a lot of T-72s. They got like 2,000 of them, nearly. Let's see, they also got these, which are apparently homemade. They only got, we don't even know how many they have. So, let's see, they also have about 400 T-72Zs. That's just a T-62 or a T-55.
Looks like the sides are dented in or something.
Oh my god. Oh my god. They got chieftains.
That's not bad.
If you're wondering why they have Western equipment like the M60s and the chieftains, the revolution in Iran changed things so quickly. It went from being American and British, an American and British supported government to an entirely Soviet supported government. So that's why you'll see that after a certain time in history, they start getting nothing but Soviet or Russian equipment. But before that, they still have some Western equipment in operation, like that little Scorpion right here, which is a really cool light tank that the British used a while ago. Anyways.
Yeah, I kind of like the Scorpion. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it. You know, the one I like better, though, is the Ferret APC, which I'll show you right here. No, wait a minute, hang on. I'm sorry. It's the Foxhound APC. Sorry, the Ferret's actually the ugly one. Foxhound APC. I can't think of it. I can't think of the right one, so we're just gonna forget that. It looks kind of like that one though, but it's cooler. Anyways, moving on. Let's look at their vehicles. What the hell is this? Ew!
Ugh. It's like a boat.
You could buy me a boat. Anyways. They don't have much to give, and everything that they do have to give is so poor quality that I think the Russians would be better pulling out some T-62Ms.
Wow, Mercedes-Benz L-Series truck. What the hell?
Ew! Oh my god!
No, that's actually good. I like it.
That's ugly to me, man. That thing is ugly as hell. I've never seen anything that ugly.
I've never heard of an L-Series truck.
Also, it looks like they bought some trucks from Ukraine. Kind of interesting to see that. You know, they're not really into them now, but the Hyundai Mighty, it's mighty, but interesting. Also, a Husky VMMD. Wow, that's things from South Africa.
Look at that guy over there on the left.
Man, I didn't get paid to be out here in this freaking desert.
Yeah, he's not liking where he's at.
Yeah, but I was gonna add. Anyways. What else do they have? Oh, look, they have the Nebelwerfer. That's fun. What the hell did they use that for? I don't know. Against protesters or something. It's definitely not a military weapon to be used in actual war. Oh my god. Wow, this is like a museum. This military is literally a museum of old equipment. They don't have anything to give, honestly. Looking at everything they got.
Whoa. Go back up.
What?
That anti-ship ballistic missile, the first one? What kind of truck is that on?
It's a shipping container that they've sloped.
That's wild.
Put a missile on top of it. Ew. You know,
they painted the missile sea green.
I wonder when the hell goes through their heads sometimes when they make this stuff. Look at this one.
Huh. It's like one of those lawn care trucks. They put a flatbed on the back and put the little missile on top of it.
Hey, it's your lawn care service guys here. We're here because you didn't pay the bill. Well, you're going to regret it now. It just shoots a missile into your house. Oh my lord. Also, look at this anti-ship missile. And not a lot to comment there. No comment. Let's see. It just gets worse and worse.
How homemade is that camo? It might be homemade.
You know, I can imagine some guy sitting in an auto shop listening to that song that says something like "Save Al Bashar," or they're like, while they're spray painting this on, like just some bros hanging out in like an auto shop trying to spray paint this thing.
Like, should we use a stencil? No. Just paint it wherever.
Dude, these guys got the same quality to their paint job that Palmetto State Armory has for their guns. We eyeballed it. That's what they did here.
Ooh, roast.
Oh man, but you know that's true. Well, it's not technically true, but if you have ever shot one, you'll know. What is this? What in the world?
That's a kit helicopter. They made that out of a kit. Look how flimsy the little like rocket launchers look on the side. It looks like they were like hung on there with tape.
Oh my god, this is the worst. We gotta look at this thing in detail. Oh my god, that's ugly. This developed. Why? They took this thing. It looks like this, And they made it look like that.
Like they've got some fabricated like metal sheets, sheet metal, and just like stuck them on the front in just any shape.
Oh my god, that's so ugly. What can it do? It has one machine gun. It's an NSV. That's what it has. It has like the Russian tank machine gun. That's its gun. And you see it kind of sticking out of the front right there. Oh my god, that is I gotta move on because I'm gonna be here forever.
What does the word Shahed mean? They use it for like a lot of stuff.
I don't know. What does Shahed mean? Yeah, let's just pull it up. What does Shahed mean? Let's see. It means martyr. Oh. Well,
wait, that's what you want to put on the side of your helicopter. Martyr. Martyr 285.
You have been given the new helicopter to fly. Which one is it? The Martyr. It's like that's not good. My career possibilities beyond this one are limited, to say the least. Oh,
that's why the helicopter looks so ugly. It's not coming back.
What is it gonna do? It's got no rockets. It's got like 14 of them and a machine gun. I guess that's what's martyred by. Like, it's just so bad they know that whoever flies it will become a martyr. Oh my god, that's just... We're gonna have to move on. I'm gonna be here forever going, oh my god. That's just awful.
Well, it makes sense to call the drones, the Shahed drones, because they're gonna, not come back. But it's like, why would you call your manned helicopter that?
Because they don't have high hopes for it, apparently.
Apparently they're not coming back.
And then they have... Ew! Look, they made another one. That one's better looking than the last, but look how poorly maintained it is. Like, the paint's coming off.
This is a Shahed 278.
It's also a martyr. Apparently the guys going on missions in that one are not coming back. I wonder how in the world, like, martyr units, like, train. Like, I bet they don't really make it past training, because part of the training must be getting yourself martyred somehow. I don't know, but anyways,
interesting.
Holy moly! What is this?
Is that a paper plane?
That's a paper plane. What? It's a paper plane. They took pictures of a paper plane.
This has to be fake. This cannot be real.
The Iranians are a meme. These people are a joke. And now we've entered ST's rocket territory. This is now what we're getting into. Oh my lord! I can't even comprehend what we're looking at anymore. What is this? This is some crap you would see on like My Homemade Rocket or Mythbusters or something.
I think I see an ST's logo on the back of it.
Oh my god! And then here's the ripoff like Reaper. Like the ripoff Predator Reaper thing that still looks bad.
Look at that Photoshop like marketing in the background.
Is that the Bob Simple tank? What the?
Might be.
Oh my god! It's the Bob Simple tank! Hang on! Y'all are gonna see the similarities. Oh my lord! I'm having a fun time right now. This is great.
Oh my god.
The Bob Simple tank. They got it! It's right there!
Man, Iran is a joke.
That's what you want to sell as a foreign export vehicle, is a freaking modernized Bob Simple. Ew!
Oh.
What in the world? Okay, though, the rest of their drones, they kind of pull together on them a little bit. And then they got some target drones from, like, the 70s. The America made those.
That's ours.
Yeah, that's a picture of ours, but they apparently got some left. Oh! I feel like I can't look at Iran's equipment section anymore after this moment.
And Iran was threatening us yesterday?
With what? What are they threatening?
They're going to send their paper airplanes over here?
Hang on, watch out, man. The Cessna 185s, though. That's scary. I can't handle this. I can't. You can't look at these. Okay, just letting y'all know, because, Iran's now being sized up to be the person who can take on America now, it seems, in modern media. Look at this military and look at the equipment they use and tell me that this is going to face up against anything we have. It's not. There's really no one that
I don't know, man. That martyr helicopter is fierce.
Oh, man. If I was the guy who was in charge of the design bureau and someone actually drew this up on paper for me to look at, I would take, you Shahed! This is not what we're looking for. Go back to the drawing board. Oh, I guess no one got the joke. Oh. Matthew, the curse word, and shahed, it kind of sounds similar, shahed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I was actually reading the live chat for a second.
Oh man, the live chat is spicy right now, man. They are going to town right now. What is this? Oh man, I thought that was a little car. I was about to be like, what the? It wasn't the Sam Hill. Anyways, what? Oh man, this picture was taken in 1986 in black and white. I thought the gun was so old that the only pictures they had of it were from like the Second World War.
It says on the bottom. Go back and click on it again. It says images of a lengthy war. It's like this doesn't look like Ukraine and Russia to me.
Oh, Matthew just burned the Russians in one sentence. Russians hate him. See how he made the Russians get burned in one simple. What the hell? Hang on. Oh my god.
Are they trying to tow that piece of crap away?
They're trying to tow it away. Oh my god, dude, that's not the one the North Koreans have. The ones that the North Koreans have kind of looks a little cool, but the ones that the freaking
What are they doing? Did you see that salute they were throwing up? What in the hell?
What in the world?
Is this North Korea?
Yeah, this is North Korea. This was actually a picture taken in 2013.
Huh.
Both you and me are like, huh. And also,
Cat Nico's in disbelief.
Oh, what? Why? Oh man, yeah, I'm honestly feeling like you right now. I think you may be imitating me, and honestly, you're on point. I'm not. I'm in complete disbelief is what the Iranian military is. Also, look at these cute little M548s. That's cool.
Yeah, it's neat.
It's neat. Oh no! Now they're entering that's a minigun. Dude,
Did they seriously put rims on that?
Yeah, they put rims on it and a minigun. Dude, the roof is going to sure clean off from the force of recoil from this minigun for like more than a couple of seconds. The roof is just going to start peeling up like a tin can.
I honestly had no idea that. I mean, I didn't think Iran was going to take on the United States, but I didn't know they were like this much of a joke.
Oh, they are. Like, like it's no joke. It's not like a propaganda shtick point. Like a lot of militaries around the world and a lot of the countries that we consider rivals, adversaries, or potential enemies are so far behind the times that they're not even really worthy of our attention for the most part on the military level. Like this is a great example of it. Oh man, we're gonna move on from this so that way we can answer a couple more questions before tonight ends. But I hope y'all enjoyed that as much as Matthew and me did, because I was getting a hell of a blast out of looking at that. So with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and we do have one more super chat, this time from David Colley, who puts in a $2 donation and says, prototype blew up when the shield hit the fan.
When the shahed hit the fan. And I gotta thank you so much for the support, and also, pretty good joke. Also adding on to the jokes that we were having a second ago, because that is the biggest joke of a military I've ever seen that we treat seriously. Why in the world do we even hold back? Like when they take a ship's crew hostage and they bring the ship to shore, why do we even hold back from starting a bombing campaign on Iran? It's not like they can do anything in response.
Probably just worried about those nukes.
What nukes? We don't even know if they have them.
The ones that are over there hiding underground and sneakily trying to develop.
Well, that's what the Patriots are for, to shoot down nuclear missiles from rogue states like North Korea and Iran. So I mean, like, just start putting Patriot batteries in the UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait. Just wait for them to launch, and also some in Israel, and then just wait for them to launch. And you largely, even in Turkey, you can put some in Turkey as well, and you would really have all areas covered wherever they could launch a nuke. You could shoot them down with a Patriot.
I guess you could, but what's like the real success rate on that?
Well, according to what we know about the PAC-2 and the PAC-3s, it appears to be a 98 to 99% success rate. So the odds are is that it would
99% success?
Yeah.
Then how come here in the United States domestically we only have like a 50% chance of shooting down a nuke coming in?
Well, that's an intercontinental ballistic missile. And intercontinental ballistic missiles come in at such a high speed that it would be almost impossible, even if we made something better than the Patriot, to really shoot them down. You would have to.
I thought that's what Iran was trying to develop.
Well, do you think they could develop that, considering what we just saw? Like, no, they're not developing that. But I think they at least have the fantasy of trying. That is true. But I don't think it's possible, because no one's really found out how to do that yet. But with that, on to the next question. I think we can answer 2 more before tonight's stream ends.
All right. So our next one goes to Barry Mundy, who says, Enforcer, what would happen if a tactical nuke was intercepted en route, apart from radiation, etc.?
What happens if read that one again real quick?
Enforcer, what would happen if a tactical nuke was intercepted en route? I assume he means to Ukraine, apart from radiation, etc.
As long as it wasn't armed, the nuclear warhead would most likely be hit and break up in the air, meaning that a whole bunch of radioactive particulates would land on the ground and probably make the area toxic. But beyond that, it would be a lot better than that nuke reaching its target and then exploding. So with that, I hope that answers the question fairly well. Or it may hit the body of the missile, not hit the warhead, and the warhead falls somewhere, no one would know where, intact, and it would just sit there forever, unarmed. Because usually those things, if I'm correct, they arm right before they get to the target, so that way they can't be hit and blown up mid-flight or something similar. And so with that, we are on to the last question of the night. And so who is the lucky last person who got in the lucky last question of the night?
And that viewer is Mandy Carroll, who says, Enforcer, did you hear that Putler has canceled his annual World Press Conference in a decade?
I did not, actually. That's news to me, and I'll have to look into that a little bit more, but if he did, I'm not really surprised, considering that who in the world would want to have a press conference with him? And also, what in the world would he really cover rather than the Ukraine stuff, which is kind of scared to cover? So I would honestly have to say I haven't heard about it. I'll have to look into it a little bit more, to be completely honest with you. And so with that, we have rounded out tonight's stream completely, both the news segment and the question segment. I thank you all so much once again for watching. I hope you all had a blast through this question segment as much as I had, because while there was a gaffe, it was a funny one. And we also got to take a good look and laugh really hard at Iran's military, which I'm sure brought a smile to their faces, and I'm sure that's putting us onto the Ayatollah's good side. And so with that, thank you all so much once again for watching. If y'all did enjoy, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and also share this with your friends. Spread the Lee Spring Army far and wide, and let everyone know what the Lee Spring Army is and what we do, because y'all are the best group out there. I haven't seen anyone like y'all, and I would love to see this group continue to grow. And so with that, thank you all so much once again for watching. Have a great night, take care, and good luck. And also, Slava Ukraini! Yeehaw! Ah, Jinx.
Yes. The Lee Spring Army sends its regards.
Ще не вмерла України, ні слава, ні воля. Ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці. Запануємо ми, браття, у своїй сторонці. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького роду. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького